Welcome back to the analyst desk once again. One set has been done today. We're down to only 5 teams remaining in the bracket. At the bottom of your screen, though, keep it out because there is the Dawn Defender Thor skin available for you guys in game. 33% off for this week only. Make sure you get your hands on that while you can. Pretty good skin. And on that note, let's move on to talk about the set. This guy's joining me once again. I can't get rid of him at the moment for some unknown reason, even after that JeffHindla comment earlier on. It's the one and only 0-0s. Big game today. LG versus SSG.
Yeah, it is. And LG coming off a pretty tough loss, and SSG coming out a pretty dominant win. So we saw the same today. So I don't know. I feel like this game could go either way. It's gonna be my main focus in this set is andinster. What is he going to play?
That's a good point. We've seen a lot of variation in terms of his picks so far. And you saw LG's run so far. They fell down to the losers bracket after losing to Simplicity yesterday. Whereas Spacestation did manage to beat both rival the console team, then out cold yesterday. And now it's all about focusing on this matchup today. And I want to turn to Luminosity first of all. That was a rough set yesterday.
Yeah, it was. They did get one win in the set, but even that game they should probably have lost, right? That was one of the games where we call like Game of Thrones a little bit, when they were so far behind in the early game, but managed to defend their base for like about 20 minutes and then making the comeback. But yeah, Lasbra especially yesterday did not look as good as he has in the past. Yeah,
do you reckon there's any particular reason for that? Was it just the pressure of the situation, the way the game got played out? Like, a lot of people point to that, like Lasbra didn't seem to really get involved that game.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be like some mental thing, because I don't think he's ever been playing any games that have had this high stakes before, right? Because he's been in SML, but I don't think. Yeah, but were they ever on the verge to like qualify for Worlds?
Probably not as deep as this, but they did have a pretty good run. I mean, obviously he was a part of that team where Genetics was on as well, who had that issue last year with being banned, and that caused some problems where they played with Xaliea. So no.
Yeah, it's just with Lasbra as well, because last game yesterday he got his signature Serqet, right? Probably his best god in my opinion, and really did almost nothing on it, so that's kind of worrisome to see. So I hope he can turn it around today.
Hoping so as well. Josh on your screen will have to deal with this man, BaRRaCCuDDa. Been around a few years now. Not the greatest season from SSG, but there is an interesting point, you know?
Yeah. Not going to have to deal with this guy though, because this guy is a mid laner these days.
Oh, there you go.
Don't forget that.
Well, that means like you wouldn't have to deal with many, because you went to duo last time I saw you, right?
Yeah.
Frostyak getting annihilated there at the tail end of that play. This was against Outcold yesterday, where BaRRa and Spacestation, they really looked a lot better yesterday. I think, you know what really hurts is we keep saying this about Spacestation. They look a lot better today. I mean, there's still improvements, but it's still not the old SSG. It's not the caliber we expect out of these players, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, after the I got so hopeful for this team after watching the last week of SPL, where they looked really good.
Yeah.
And they were still playing weird stuff, but made it work. Then he comes into this placement tournament and still plays the weird stuff, and like most of the games it hasn't worked. Yesterday it did work, so I feel like it's kind of a coin toss right now with andinster. Like, either he's gonna do really well on these assassins that he likes to play, or he's not gonna have that much impact.
Now obviously both these two teams though have played against each other in the regular season as well, and have got the same amount of experience to an extent in terms of, well, being in major tournaments, having a shot at the world titles a couple of times before. Going to be an interesting endeavour between the two. Any surprises you expect in picks and bans here?
Surprised. I mean, that would be if andinster plays some meta mages or something. I guess that would be like the biggest thing for me.
He's played a bit of Thor in that lane as well, and we've seen the rise of Thor as of late in multiple roles.
Yeah, but I wouldn't really call 4 ADC meta. 4 solo, I'm down for that, but 4 ADC is kind of a stretch.
LG will be first pick here then. Let's see what they choose to do with that. First of all, though, they've got to get through the banning area, and the first thing taken out is Aquarius having a JeffHindla. Won't be the case this time.
Yeah, it's just a solid ban in general. I think like Jorm has been so powerful this whole tournament, and even in SPL we saw it like a lot. Not as popular in SPL. I feel like a lot of the soul laners kind of knew how to shut it down in SPL, but in this placement week we've seen Jorm get shut down very few games.
Yeah, it's true. Amaterasu banned by LG. A lot of respect bans going on already, because SSG banning that Xing is definitely a shot towards Joshy, but they will go with a meta ban right now, which is the Isis. She's so potent.
Yeah, would expect to see a Persephone ban too, I suppose. Actually, I think they played Persephone yesterday and lost with it. Okay, they banned it anyway.
So expand away. So what it really is available here to take away set is open. We've seen that open quite a few times. I mean, sometimes not even considered a pick. Thor too.
Yeah, I would love to see. Imagine Snoopy on set in the duo lane against whatever Andinster is going to play. That could be a banger of a matchup. I
mean, Snoopy versus Andy sounds like a great matchup anyway on paper. I'd love to see that. And then obviously, that means BaRRa and Joshy would be in the middle area there. SSG going to go to King Arthur for Aquarius. Obviously a straight up easy pick to muster there with the power of King Arthur. He's kind of like, if Yorm's not available, King Arthur's another go-to.
Yeah, it's like those two are like the top picks, I feel like. And I always love when people pick King Arthur as well, because you always know he's going to be the solo lane. I feel like a lot of other picks, you're like, oh, this could be
Are you
solo
sure
lane.
Andy's not taking that to duo though?
Yeah, that's I guess with SSG, I guess there is some flexibility in the King Arthur, I suppose.
Athena locked in here. Now we've seen flexibility for Aquarius to pick that up, funny enough, in that solo lane, so maybe it is Andy and the King. However, JeffHindla has been piloting a lot of that as of late. And we'll see what he does with it, because Xing 10, and there's the set you're after.
Ooh, this could be spicy. I want what is Andinster gonna play against this? Maybe Pele. He's played some Pele ADC. Maybe Pele has a good matchup into set. I don't know.
It's quite possible. I mean, with Thor and set, one of them is probably jungling at this point. Wouldn't surprise me. There's a Thanatos is locked in.
That could also be an explosive matchup against the set. If it is set ADC, we don't know that, but I would assume so, considering how much success Snoopy had on. He's kind of the first one that really did it on set ADC.
That's true. I mean, Lasbra, I'm thinking with Lasbra as well in the jungle for LG, I'd lean towards the Thor more than the set at this moment in time, especially just to get him comfortable after the performances yesterday that people were speaking so much about. Might be the better task. SSG get a better way tier, more a prominent solo in it, so they don't believe either set or Thor is going to solo here.
Yeah, and the BaRRaCCuDDa ban too, like that's a Cyno pick, right? So they still don't know if this Thanatos is jungle, which, I mean, it's understandable, right?
Quite possible. There's the Merlin ban, just to log down some of the magical damage that could come into play here. Snoopy raising his eyebrows. I'm expecting he's going to be the one to pilot the set personally. And there, on the other side of his team, is going to be Xaliea, who's in that solo lane up against Aquarius, whose pick is still potentially available. He could go with a Xing as well, potentially.
Kind of weird for SSG to not ban out Poseidon, I think, because I feel like whenever we see Joshy in mid, he plays Poseidon pretty much always. Unless he's, because Joshy is in the duo lane most of the time, but whenever he does play mid, he's usually on the Poseidon, so I would expect him to pick Poseidon here.
Achilles more than likely for solo lane then, with how this is working out for LG's draft at the moment. Xaliea up against Aquarius will be an interesting endeavour, with both having sustained. And you read it like a book, Zeros. Poseidon locked in. That's going to Joshy, which means Snoopy's on that set.
Yeah. If this is the Kuang pick, I kind of like it, because like SSG does this weird draft where they go this assassins in the duo lane, Andinster does his thing, but I feel like what they always lack from the team composition is like a mage or like some kind of hard mage damage to like threaten the enemy team.
Sure.
And a Kuang can do that, right?
So would you want Kuang in the jungle or duo lane? That's the question, I guess. Because
I don't know. I think a Kuang is actually, I don't think he's that bad in lane, but I think I don't know. Like Cyno played Thanatos yesterday.
He did. This is going to be a good game. I'm excited. We've got double executes, and don't forget that you've also got this Kuang that can use the illusion to stealth and have JeffHindla ult with that Athena.
Oh, that could be a sick combo in duo lane, actually, to go for kills.
Be quite surprising. We'll see if SSG can muster it. How do you feel about comps on paper if you had to pick one of these two to take the victory here?
I mean, you usually look at LG, it's like a pretty standard, it's a good standout draft. You're like, oh, that's pretty good. And you look at SSG and you're like, what the hell is going on here? Yeah. So, like, I feel like if SSG can do it, then I guess.
It kind of feels to me SSG's draft on paper, it's like the last guy got a role that he doesn't play and he's like, no, I'm jungling, and just locks an Kuang, right? It just feels like one of those sort of drafts. Whereas, as you said, LG a bit more standard. Now, when it does come down to tower shred, though, and Phoenix push in for both teams, it's a little bit lackluster here.
SSG does have an ADC,
Chen,
so
right.
like he can do his thing. LG on the other hand only pretty much have Poseidon to the ranged autos, which is super weak against Phoenixes. A Kuang, if he gets to hit the Phoenix, he can shred those as well. So I think SSG is probably better there when it comes to. Yeah, but then again, I don't know what to say about this. no idea.
It's funny because when I'm actually looking at the comps as well, SSG good on the push power, but LG probably better on the defensive side of things with having that Poseidon for the clear and the skewers as well. Whereas SSG on the defense, a little bit lackluster, only really got the Chernobog there. But then again, LG don't have any siege potential because they've only really got the Poseidon for killing Phoenixes.
What I'm worried about SSG for the most part is like this Athena. You usually want Athena to initiate, taunt someone into a lot of follow-up damage, but who's gonna follow up? Surely you have a Chernobog, he can do it, but he's the only ranged one. Like if a Kuang and Thanatos commits to someone that's taunted, there's gonna be a whirlpool on top of that, right? And
that's
like
true.
they're probably gonna get blown up. So I don't know how much this Athena pick is gonna do when it comes to team fighting.
I do feel like Poseidon's gonna have a very big game required of him here for Joshy. I think it's gonna be Joshy piloting this, because if he ends up falling down in these engagement zeros, this is a goon squad from SSG that are just going to all in. I think they could all jump in together. Even Chernobog can do the same thing of just diving on in and try to kill them all.
Yeah, if they get momentum in a fight and they start winning a fight, you're not getting away from from that team comp. They're just going to keep killing you. So yeah, they have to start off the fight strong, LG, to stand a chance here.
Two interesting compositions on paper then. Very excited to see who takes game one. There's Luminosity and there's Space Station. Time to get it over to the casters.
Thanks a lot, Zeros and Hindu, man. Getting ready for game number one. Luminosity versus Space Station Gaming. Tom Baddinger and Anatoly Alexeyenok on the mic. And Doug, of course, on the ones and twos. As we get ready for this one, it's going to be the Kuang in lane versus the Set in lane. An interesting matchup here. Kuang, once upon a time, solo laner. Now a long laner. Against the Set. I mean, that's an interesting one.
And that's kind of what's been happening, honestly. The Season 2 solo laners that we saw in the past, like we saw a little bit of assassins in there, some mages from time to time, into the long lane now in Season 6. And the way this matchup goes between Set versus Kuang favors, I think, the Kuang a little bit, because Snoopy obviously wants to be aggressive for the all-in potential, and that's where Kuang really thrives, is when you do get close to him right off the bat. He's going to drop the 3 and do a lot of return fire to you.
Doug highlighting the Thanatos start. Attack speed boots give you mana. Clearly, Thanatos needs neither attack speed nor mana, but by waiting in the base, you can finish up these boots. Warrior Tabby are more expensive. So what we're going to see Thanatos is start off with the boots, make the rotation, likely go back. I don't know if he goes back for the Assassin's Blessing like we see on some of the other choices, because the penetration isn't needed either with Sense of Death.
That's true. You get a lot of penetration, something like about 30 penetration, if not 35. So only need one actual penetration item to reach that 50 cap marker anyway. And even though you don't need too much mana for Thanatos off of his abilities, the mana synergy potentially, if you build into Transcendence, could help you get extra physical power, because that Death Sight has a lot of scaling to utilize, so that could go a long way. And not to mention also that power just for the basic attacks.
We'll see how this one works out. Cyno early looking for Snoopy, which is the way to play Thanatos. Early and often. He's spotted out by Eonic. Snoopy gonna turn and run. That said, Eonic slowed down thanks to the disc. Here's the skewer, and there's the basic attack. Andinster takes the first blood off of the assist from the jungler. Nice job, Cyno, getting involved early. And the two assassins make it happen.
Hitting both slows, so important. They are abusing the Xing Chen that's level 1. Only having the Furious Roar. He didn't have his double jump to get away from that one. And honestly, it doesn't matter who that first blood goes to, because pick your poison at this point, whether it's the Kuang or the Thanatos. There is going to be a little bit of snowball potential.
Yeah, which one do you want to play against most is not the question I want to answer with Fed, Thanatos, or Kuang across the way, but I love what Space Station Gaming is doing. They're just sticking to their guns and saying, listen, our identity is our identity. It might be a little bit weird. It might be not what you expect us to do, but we win games. Damn it, who cares?
And even going for that penetration option on the Assassin's Blessing once it does get involved is Cyno after assisting in that first blood, because of some of the changes actually to the River Yamoja patch. Once you do get it evolved as well, getting that extra 50 health is not a bad way to just be a little bit more resilient.
You got some movement speed as well, right? 5% there, just a little bit once you finish it out. So a little bit here or there. I think it's more to do with the extra damage, as Cyno's going to be looking for the invades. That Assassin's Blessing will help You find yourself on the enemy side of the world, trying to snatch away things like we just see there. Aquarius taking the blue buff.
I love the way Cyno is just present on all sides of the map. They're assisting in the first blood on the left, and then assisting in the blue buff invade on the right side, as Xaliea is struggling now in this 1v1 matchup on the Achilles versus the King Arthur. Aqua stripping that blue buff away. He hits level 5 first because that experience differential.
Purple buff invade comes out. The big one goes the way of Snoopy, and the other two are stolen away by Spacestation. This has been a jungler-driven league for a long time, and while I think things have shifted a little bit, junglers still front and foremost. And the junglers for these teams have been largely question marks. Lasbra joining LG in the jungle position in the second half of the season. Spacestation Gaming, Cyno's been there, but hasn't really found success. And here recently, Cyno has stepped up. And although Lasbra has looked good in the second phase of the regular season, here in the playoffs has not looked strong. Yesterday was a dismal showing for Lasbra.
It was definitely not what we expected of him, for sure. Nothing that we expect out of Cyno, from being the Season 5 MVP to how he performed in Season 6. I don't think he's had a single set victory in his duration with Splice and then transitioning over towards Spacestation Gaming in both Phase 1 and Phase 2.
Yeah, his first set victory came here in placement stages.
Yeah, that's right, when they beat the rival Xbox team after they lost to Sanguine in the upper bracket finals. But they not only found their victory over the rival Xbox boys, but also out cold Gaming. So a little bit of confidence now for Spacestation Gaming, whereas LG yesterday losing to Simplicity in a very long best of 3.
About 3 hours there. Hour for game number 1, hour for game number 2. A little shorter than there. As Tolly does the sign of the cross, hoping we don't have a barn burner like that in front of us. I'll be honest with you though, Tolly. LG versus SSG, I was thinking it during picks and bans. I was like, look, man, this could be a long one.
It's possible. Their play styles are rather similar. I mean, just look at the long lane matchup, right? But the way that these teams played against each other in Phase 1 and Phase 2 was back and forth. Spacestation Gaming, they won Phase 1 3-1. Phase 2, it was all LG.
Cyno shows up one more time. The silence stops the skewer for the moment.
I like that mindset. Cyno, as soon as he recognized Snoopy was out, doesn't even bother even trying to chase him down. His character model wasn't even looking at the left side during the sandstorm. He has such a mindset for the priorities and getting the farm.
Jungle's going to be the priority here. All in as Snoopy dives on the backside. Up goes the Thanatos, looking to land, and Snoopy should be the target. One for the money, but no kills just yet. JeffHindla surrounded, and there it is. Joshy gets the first hit for Luminosity off of a great crack, and JeffHindla standing in place, channeling the ultimate. God.
Nowhere for him to go there, unfortunately. Having the purification beats was still not enough to save his life, as that was a great double hit at a Lasbra. He wasn't too present in his last set against Simplicity in games number 2 and 3, but he certainly made a statement there. And it took a lot to get even that one kill. 4 ultimates were expended on just a level 5 Athena support that only has reinforced shoes, not even fully evolved Guardian's Blessing. It's only going to be tankier Athena from here on out. And when Spacestation get a little bit stronger, woo! Nice little kill there by Jeff, returning the favor, coming back from the fountain, utilizing that ultimate.
I wonder if the conversation was camp set, because every moment we see someone over there.
It's possible, because without the Kingslayer ultimate, he didn't have that 25% movement speed to get away. He had to use the Sandstorm. So we've seen previous sets get abused against Athena's. Once you Sandstorm in, here comes Defender of Olympus to punish that transgression.
Cyno looking for the blue buff one more time, but Luminosity there on time. And so the invade won't go the way of Spacestation this go-around. 2-1 early on as we approach 10 minutes. Spacestation have a little bit of a lead here. Not just 1, but 2,000 gold, which is very interesting. I mean, this lead, obviously, they grabbed first blood, but This leads a little bit more than that first blood bounty.
It's all about denying Snoopy, because even though he's only died about 1 time so far this game, he's been denied a lot of farm with all the poking out that Spacestation Gaming have been able to do in this lane. Andinster is freezed in the lane as a response. Snoopy kind of canceled this back about 5 minutes ago. I was kind of watching behind that purple buff, and that wasted a good amount of time, like 10 to 15 seconds of not farming that minion wave, realizing he had to back to base. So Spacestation Gaming, they have a clear-cut strategy of camping out Snoopy's set, but they're not spending too many resources to do it. It's a small rotation from Cyno, and then he goes back into farm. It's a small rotation from JeffHindla's ultimate that easily gets the kill and then resets.
Purple invade denied here by Luminosity. Jeff's thinking about coming back. Instead, we'll find the taunt. Kill off screen as Aquarius makes the rotation and takes down the mid laner. Left side, though, is the scrum. Here's help from the jungler and the support. Cyno goes to the sky after Jeff dies. Lands under the tower. Gets the kill. Lasbra punished for it. And he low. Won't allow anyone to get to him. BaRRaCCuDDa puts down Snoopy before the skewer. And it's 1 for 3. JeffHindla sits down. Puts down Lasbra, Snoopy, and a third.
Very favorable trade there for Spacestation. My eyes lit up for a moment because that skewer was mid-animation as Snoopy died there. I think that was about 6, maybe 7 sand clones. And even though the set is only level 8, not that much physical power, you certainly feel that ability. And even before all that shenanigans happened, a great rotation from Aqua in the mid lane, catching out the Joshy's Poseidon there on the right side mid camps.
Yeah, just a nice catch out. Looks like teams are going to be on their side of the map. Let's take a look at that kill in the middle lane. Again, the rotation coming out from Aquarius of the solo side allowed this one to happen. Totally break it down.
So he drops a ward at the backside, and this is what you have to do in order to get map control there. They identify where Joshy is with their own vision, and the burst potential too strong. I guess the purification beads was not available for Joshy.
Not at all.
Either that or he just not elected to use it. Didn't expect that kind of burst damage.
Just too surprising. Luminosity find themselves on the enemy side of the jungle one more time. Blue buff invade while we were looking at the replay. And Xaliea will be able to snatch that. So the denial by Luminosity. Great job there. Spacestation, despite their best efforts, won't get the repeated invade. Still maintaining their lead, though, despite the denial. The team fights going their way from 2,000 to 3,000. Spacestation had a comfortable lead here in the early stages. We're venturing into the mid game, and I expect to see these ganks that are happening here on the left side. After the next one, we might just see the gold.
I agree. I think that you hit the nail right on the head. It is a very comfortable lead, and not a lead where it needs to be forced to be extended even further, because the way Spacestation have been rotating, it's been clean onto this set. A lot of solo farming for Andinster now as he just hit the level 10 marker comparatively to Snoopy that's trying to get some assistance from Lasbra's Thor, trying to alleviate this pressure in the long lane.
Cyno snatching away the back camps, lurking around looking for the blue buff. I mean, he's literally running in circles in the enemy's jungle, waiting for an opportunity to steal things away. JeffHindla going to be ulting over to the right side. It's an all-in dunk on top of the solo laner. Cyno is down on the backside in case Xaliea makes it out. And Jeff's here in case Xaliea goes up north. Down goes the solo laner. Go too heavy on the right side. Left side is left vulnerable. Andy from around the back end looking for help. Gets out of the water and won't get krakened. Luminosity get the gold fury. Worth or not?
It's hard to say because Gold Fury's not worth too much gold at this point in the game. Andinster does get pulled in a little bit of trouble. Still has the water illusion to get away, but getting a pick on that right side is good because Xaliea now has a 2-level deficit. Aqua should be able to out-carry now that he has the Breastplate of Valor, expecting a lot of rotations out of him. And to give up Gold Fury this early in the game, it's really not that much gold. The lead from Spacestation remains the same with their pickup of the Pyromancer. I think it is worth because of the experience differential in the solo lane.
That's the key, is that the experience has been picking up as well. In fact, this lead has grown. It's now a 4,000 gold lead because of the bounty over there on Xaliea. And like you said, this lead doesn't need to be forced. it can be casually built upon, which is not really the meta that we're in. A lot of times, the meta that we're in demands you force your lead because there's so many opportunities for teams to come back. Many team fight opportunities, and hell, you can just sit in your Phoenix all day. So you're usually forced to kind of keep it going. Space Station, though, with the double assassin composition they have right now, are real liable to just hang out and slowly do their thing, because if Luminosity slip 1 inch, they're going to get double dunked.
And that's why when they had that window presented to them to grab the Gold Fairy with all that attention from Space Station on the right side of the map, LG did not hesitate. They needed to take that objective, because if they don't, then Space Station, with their early comfortable lead, can easily secure it for themselves. And with LG has to defend that one, it could get a little tricky having to throw your Poseidon a little bit too close for the potential steal on the Kraken.
You know, I mentioned the double dunk. That's an interesting component of the Space Station draft. You've got Cyno coming down on one end, JeffHindla coming down on the other. BaRRaCCuDDa will also come out thanks to the Air Force, and Andy has the potential, if he's already killed one of your teammates, to also land on top of you.
Yeah, that's 3 globals. You got 2 executes as well from Space Station Gaming. Good way to force out the purification beats between the Athena and the King Arthur. It allows the follow-up from both Cyno and andinster to be very clean, I think. It kind of seems a little bit all-inish, though, compared to LG's draft, where they have more potential to reset team fights, or at least look for the primary poke engage, utilizing that Thor wall stun, Whirlpool here, Skewer there, Thor hammer, and then just resetting it.
Space Station trying to set a trap here. Luminosity as they go for the speed bump. Eonic is going to show up, and Cyno gets deleted by Joshy. Well played there on the mid lane mage. Eonic now looking for 2, and Thanatos is in the air. Lasbra, though, going to fall down. Eonic here low, and the push out from Aquarius, and Jeff good enough to put him down, but not before Xaliea finds one on the outside. Luminosity 1 for 2 so far. Joshy escapes, and if Xaliea can find Aquarius, which he can, the execute still available. Could be a big play, and
solo.
Andy outplays Snoopy. Left side, Xaliea running around. Aquarius.
Ulti, Xaliea, he used it, it's on cooldown. He knows he's dead. He put his hands up in the air during the Excalibur's wrath. A great solo kill in the long lane, another cleanup kill in the short lane, and Space Station Gaming still maintain their lead.
That was a try there from SSG to see. That was the force of the lead, right? They were trying to set that trap.
It's tricky. It was a great engage out of JeffHindla. They hit a double taunt, but in response, immediately using Purification beats Joshy, returns the favor with a Kraken, and I don't think Cyno was really expecting that one. No Aegis available for him to survive that one, so he takes an early spill.
Tough stuff there. Space Station, though, maintaining control of the game. 9-4 are the kills and a slew of gold. About 5K, 4K, give or take, wave to wave. Should be an interesting look for them. Gold Fury coming up in about 45 seconds. Last time it went to Luminosity Gaming. This time around, it'll be a Primal Fury, which is a great one for Space Station if they want to grab it. They get a little bit of gold. They sacrifice some of that gold for better Fire Giant fights later on. That would be ideal for SSG, I think.
Yeah, I think this Primal Fury is going to go a long way for either side, whether it's steal potential for LG or kill confirmation out of SSG. And something I also kind of wanted to point out is just the rich history between both andinster and Snoopy in this long lane. They're sister teams of Cognitive Prime and Cognitive Red, where Snoopy was the hunter there, andinster was the jungler there. Now meet again in this lane, and not only that, Season 3, they used to be on the same team of Sword Gaming as well. A lot of just knowledge between these two players going back and forth, as andinster was able to pick up that solo kill. Could have been the mindset between these two players.
Some of the longer tenured players in the league. Jeff and BaRRa obviously fit that bill as well. Eonic, too.
Yeah.
Eonic going all the way back to those years that you're talking about. Primal Fury started here by Space Station. 25% to go. Eonic's local and Lasbra's in the air. All-out retreat coming out from Space Station. Lasbra lands. And maybe a refocus.
andinster's played against and as Thor so many times that he understands exactly what Lasbra was looking for.
Blink forward from Eonic as the Gold Fury gets low. Damage is there, but the trade is strong. Up, down. Xaliea gets 1 kill already, and Joshy going to be picked up by King Arthur. Cyno gets that one. 10 kills in total for Spacestation Gaming. The 1-for-1. Cyno's going to go down, and it's Snoopy that's the culprit, but BaRRaCCuDDa with the double make that a triple kill, and andinster shows up at the end. Aside, Spacestation Gaming does work, and who would have thunk it's BaRRaCCuDDa bringing the big guns.
A great play. He looked like he was about to retreat because of all those sand clones that was waiting for him to get skewered, but he confidently walks back in, trusting his teammates to clean that one up, utilizing that road. Spacestation Gaming get rewarded off of the sacrifice from Cyno and BaRRaCCuDDa.
Woof. These team fights are harrowing. I mean, this has been complicated. Now, I mean, me from my perspective, a little bit of an apology. I've been frazzled. I can only imagine what it's like for these players. We have 2 gods going up in the sky, sometimes 3. Let's watch the replay. There was so much going on around this Gold Fury fight, and it all starts pretty much with Cyno coming down from the sky.
Yeah, the Kraken as well doing a lot of damage. Xaliea has some good presence off of that damage initially, but then the follow-up there with BaRRaCCuDDa resetting the team fight. He forces a missed skewer out of Snoopy as he comes in and cleans up. He exits to buy more time, forces Xaliea to overcommit at that point. He was dead to rights anyway. And what really popped off for Spacestation Gaming was not even what happened in the middle of that team fight. It's what happened before the fight. They forced the Gold Fury and they reset it while Lasbra was using that Anvil of Dawn. And the way andinster juked out that ability and also returned the poke with the Water Illusion was a nice little mechanical way to chip down Lasbra before the fight really popped off.
There's just so much going on in those fights. Usually, I mean, Smite's a complicated game. There are 5, 10 players on the battlefield, but usually it's like, all right, both ADCs are far away, right? Sure. And you've got your mages also kind of. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 assassins in here if you let me call Achilles an assassin, and it's dirty.
I mean, think about it this way: there's 10 gods firing off about 40 abilities, using 20 relics, all in about 10 seconds worth of time.
Yeah.
Not to mention, popping consumables as well here and there.
It's just the crazy melee scrum of all of these assassins is nuts. You've got Lasbra landing, Cyno landing, andinster hopefully going to the sky so he could land again, and a lot of complexity going on here. Luminosity trying to cause more problems. Cyno takes off away from the Kraken. Kraken will largely whiff, but BaRRa won't. Joshy goes down, punished for the missed ultimate. Down south, the Aegis will wear out, and Snoopy's taken down by andinster. There's Lasbra. He'll go down by Aquarius. 1 for everybody on Space Station. Jeff, no kill for him. But 3 players down, Xaliea and Eonic standing. Not much that SSG can grab off of that. Maybe a tier 1 tower.
I think they're going for the Fire Giant here, F-Dot. I don't think they're going to slow down anytime soon. They didn't successfully force any issues 10 minutes ago between that speed buff and that tier 1 tower, but this time around forcing that team fight outside the enemy red buff, getting rewarded with 3 kills with a 5-on-2 power play, cleanly securing the objective.
I saw Space Station back and thought they wouldn't be going for it. Very quickly, they find themselves coming out of the gates.
It's better to just purchase the items and also be 100% healthy in case the 2 remaining LG members were going to contest you. Starting the Fire Giant at half health, when you're only a level 14 Athena, when you're the one tanking it,
sure.
It's, it could be punished as a result of those 2 LG members.
Well, that's going to put Space Station Gaming, as if they weren't already in the driver's seat, puts them even further in control. Just shy of a 10,000 gold lead. They're up by 10 kills for sure. And they've got the Fire Giant. Mid lane seems to be the target. They've got minions and this tower halfway down.
And it just goes to show with how aggressive they are on that left side of the map from extending beyond that red buff area, that they still have the presence of mind to just stop and reset, evaluate what the next priority is and how they're going to be able to secure that objective.
And they're splitting on the long side. Look at where this set player is. Snoopy looking for something interesting. The long way around here for Snoopy.
I guess he's just going to get 500 gold. Or no, he's just going to delay the wave. So that way, if Spacestation Gaming are going to attempt to siege maybe the Phoenix, they already have a wave for this tier 2 tower. Should be guaranteed here. But if they're going to go for the Phoenix, they're not going to have a wave with that, as long as Snoopy can keep shoving those waves from the backside. Or if a fight does pop off, there's going to be a pincer maneuver from this set.
Snoopy's all the way back, and he'll be heading back to base now. It makes sense. There's no reason for anybody to be grouped up. You're not defending a tier 1 tower.
It's a cute play. It's hard to really lock down a set with all that mobility between Kingslayer, Sandstorm, no access to the blink, so you could potentially chase him down a little bit there. But you got to do anything you can to delay the Fire Giant buff duration there, and just to get a wave there. Every 30 seconds, a wave spawns. So essentially, you're delaying the ability of Space Station Gaming to get the tier 2 tower by 30 seconds.
Uncontested, unceremonious, but continuing keep Space Station up and forward. Waiting for the moment of action. Would you defend, excuse me, the tier 2s here, or are you waiting for Phoenix fights?
You gotta be waiting for Phoenix fights. There's just not that much experience compared to Space Station Gaming here. Like level 17 Joshy, level 17 Snoopy, compared to their level 20 counterparts, is hard to really do the damage as to 4 points on the Kraken as opposed to 5. But if they're going to be forcing out these Phoenixes, there's no time to get the experience. You're going to have to throw the whole kitchen sink at Space Station Gaming.
Space Station does a great job of identifying that there won't be any defense, and so they split the lanes. Cyno and andinster go to the mid lane. Andy gets his beads chased out, while the rest of the squad goes to the left side. Good defenses on the Phoenixes so far. The tier 2s for free.
And this kind of makes sense from Space Station Gaming because they don't have too much ability for poking and resetting the same way that LG does. So they're going to really split LG thin by going for middle and the left side.
Aquarius leading the charge. Doing damage to Xaliea. Cyno going to blink to the back line. Joshy in trouble, but Snoopy's the one that deletes Cyno before Joshy goes down.
Wow, Cyno blinks in, looks for a play, gets instantly punished. He baits out the Relic Aegis out of Joshy, but no essential follow-up. It just didn't feel like that was communicated as well as it should have. Cyno, normally you expect the Thanatos to play cleanup, not the one primarily engaging here, especially when you have Aqua on the King Arthur, Jeff on the Athena.
I mean, it's interesting. The build is pure damage, and you can initiate. That said, the Poseidon is one of the scarier gods to initiate when you have dunk down characters. Poseidon's response is to ult in response.
I agree, but I think what I saw in the last team fight around the red buff, the way Cyno landed from his hovering death, he recognizes when he's in danger, because from landing from that hovering death, he actually immediately runs away, expecting not only the Kraken, but the Anvil of Dawn to land on top of him, and he does avoid Lasbra's ultimate in that last team fight about 5 minutes ago. So I'm surprised with how patient he was in that fight to just kind of force it here on the left side, because you're blinking in, you have beads, you have no Aegis against this Joshy's Kraken.
Maybe the idea a little bit tankier now. Rune Forge is complete. Rune Forge Hammer, an interesting item. Every time Thanatos is attacking, you're either stunned from the ultimate that he landed on you with, or you're slowed because he hit you with the Death Scythe, or you're silenced. You know, so there is a mentality here behind Rune Forge. 50 power is nice, the ability to scale, and the health also. Certainly a Thanatos-esque stat. Fire Giant started and finished here uncontested. Space Station Gaming in 26 minutes find themselves up 15,000 gold.
And this has been looking like a different Space Station Gaming compared to the way they've been playing in all of Phase 2. Not finding a single set victory. Their last set win was actually against LG in Phase number 1, Week 7, when LG had a totally different roster. They had Mollusk, Kiki, Ocean, Snoopy. He tried to split push for a little bit too long. Gonna get punished there. And with his Fire Giant buff, 55 seconds dead on Snoopy. That's a little worrying if I'm an LG fan.
Space Station have to figure out what their target will be. Right side tower could be the target, or they could just go for the Phoenixes.
I think the better play is the Phoenix here, because there's not many opportunities to get an easier Phoenix advantage here. And in a 5-on-4 power play for 30 seconds, this should be clean. They're kind of taking their sweet time, though, getting there.
Players already in position, Athena and the King Arthur. Chernobog lagging behind. 5-on-4, as Totally mentions. Snoopy on the bench. Xaliea, Lasbra, Eonic, and Joshy here to defend. Joshy firing the first shot with the Whirlpool. Cyno landing and finding the first kill with Joshy. Nice toss there as JeffHindla's abused by the support. Mid lane Phoenix goes down. Nice and easy. Snoopy respawns right about now. Joshy will not. About 40 seconds before Poseidon shows up one more time.
I think his beats was still down, and that's why he got stunned and absolutely deleted. Now JeffHindla forced to reset this a little bit. Cyno in a little bit of trouble, taking some damage, forced to reset. That Phoenix on the left still surviving for a moment. Up, down goes BaRRaCCuDDa to reset his cooldowns.
And reset Snoopy's death timer. 57 seconds for Snoop to come right on back. Left side Phoenix toasted, mid lane Phoenix gone. Here comes JeffHindla, fresh-faced from the fountain.
This could be game.
Two Phoenixes are down, totally. They're certainly going to look for the long play. They're going to go for the tower. No, it's a juke. They're coming right down middle lane. Damage from andinster is big, but again, Spacestation decided to go the long way.
Well, they still had the ultimate from andinster, so if there was enough damage onto Eonic, Xing Chen, that would have been a guaranteed kill and a nice opportunity to go for the end there. But with Joshy respawning, he still had the Kraken during that whole time because he didn't have relics available to survive that last time. Still held on to that cooldown. So we'll have it for the right side Phoenix defense, but I'm assuming, if anything, I'm saving it for the Titan defense.
Better safe than sorry.
Uh-oh.
Xaliea goes down. Snoopy is up right now, though. Cyno literally up in the sky. Won't find a target. Will land back on the ground. 5-on-4. Advantage. Space Station. All three Phoenixes down for the count. Eonic and Lasbra playing frontline. Lasbra, not tanky. Void Shield only. Lasbra taunted. Will beads away the damage. Kraken is used, but mainly JeffHindla and Aquarius. And Eonic goes down to the hand of BaRRaCCuDDa. Half HP on the Titan so far. Up, down from Baron, resetting. Joshy gets Cyno, but Space Station get the Titan. End game number 1 in 29 minutes of play.
Very clean performance from the black and yellow squad there. Not much to really worry about. They had the early lead with the double assassins from both Cyno's Thanatos, Andy's Kuang, and they never looked back. JeffHindla made some great plays on the Athena taunts. BaRRaCCuDDa did the Chernobog things that was required of him. Aqua was able to get a couple of picks here and there on his King Arthur. Solid draft, solid performance.
That's really, you used the word cleanliness, and that's really what we were looking for here at a Space Station if you're rooting for them. Some of their wins have been rough and tumble. All of their games felt rough and tumble at some point in time. This was Space Station understanding this is what we have to do to win. We've got to make some changes, and this was just looked like easy SMITE for them.
It did. Unfortunately for LG, they couldn't stop that early aggression here. Lasbra on the Thor, he missed a couple of key Anvil of Dawns. Credit to where credit is due, though. The way Space Station Gaming kind of dispersed against that global pressure was high quality, and I think some of the objective controls needed to be a little bit cleaner from LG. They got that first goal theory when there was a lot of action on the right side, but there needs to be more. They can't be that far behind in the mid game.
Well, we're down 1 game. Space Station lifting it up. We'll be back after this.
Welcome back, everybody. Space Station Gaming, an impressive victory in game number 1. Aggro joined by Zeros. I mean, Zeros what happened? I mean, Kuang ADC, I guess, is the play.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes they play this weird stuff and it works, you know. I think it's mainly Cyno on this Thanatos. Creates so much room for them early game and gives them so much map pressure overall. You see he's over in the dual lane early with the full boot start.
Yep.
Kills the Xing Tian and then like just kind of dominates the whole map. Like he's everywhere, this Thanatos. He's at the blue buffs invades and like super hard for LG to do anything about it.
I completely agree. Eonic being set behind early was a big deal. That's a lot of their early pressure. And their other early pressure is really supposed to come from Lasbra on this Thor. And it just was not there from him yet again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate to see, really. Like he has its up and its downs, but like yesterday and even this first game today, like super invisible on Thor as well. Like such a good god in this meta, right? You see so many junglers picking it up, or like other roles as well, and doing a lot of work on it. But like Lasbra just not making it happen this game.
Only 7,000 damage for him, doubled by Cyno in that department at the very least. Snoopy did what he could, it felt like, on this set, but he was getting camped early and often. Andinster's Kuang ADC, when you're on the receiving end of all this extra pressure, it felt really, really strong. A pick that can certainly snowball pretty well.
Yeah, and like here you see like a level 2 Thanatos with full boots. Like you don't get away from that.
No, you never do, especially with that extra slow coming in from Andy. I mean, this Athena as well, it just makes it impossible for Snoopy to be able to go aggressive. You see him on the tower line there, tries to run away, but can't through all that extra damage and chase down potential from the Athena.
I think this is really smart, picking Athena in this meta. If you're against a team and you know they're gonna play this aggressive assassins that wanna look for solo kills and that kind of stuff, I feel like Athena is such a good counter against that, right? Even if you play the assassin yourself and you have Athena on your team, like you can get so much support and like secure these kills.
It keeps them alive and it gets you kills. Andinster with the solo kill against Snoopy right there. I mean, Andy won a world championship on Kuang when he was just brand new in Season 1. You know he's very comfortable on this pick. BaRRaCCuDDa, usually such a cornerstone of these drafts, and usually left alone because of all the dive, was able to get it done. Xalia's Achilles wasn't particularly impressive to me. I don't know. I just feel like LG is kind of falling apart at the seams.
Yeah, but as you say, the Achilles wasn't that impressive. But then again, like he gets pretty much every blue buff invaded by this Thanatos, right? I feel like Cyno is the one making so much room for SSG to just do whatever they want. One thing though I want to mention that should be really good. I feel like I'm helping SSG out now. But with the picks they do in dual lane, shouldn't Neath mid for BaRRaCCuDDa be insane to like help Andinster with his Neath ult in the dual lane to get set up so many kills?
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, I think Neath is probably underplayed overall. Seems like a pick that could the itemization just seems like it's there for her right now, right? Yeah. Transcendent's really good. The maces are all pretty strong. Heartseeker would be great.
Heartseeker now, yeah.
Yeah, I think her itemization it certainly lends itself to viability. Maybe that's something that Spacestation have in the back pocket, but they might not need to pull it out with the way that Game 1 went. If you're LG, I mean, at this point, I think that the set ADC aside, we probably go back to putting Snoopy on a mage in mid. I think at some point you just look at Lasbra and you go, what can you be comfortable on?
Yeah, I think definitely take away the Thanatos from Cyno. I'm pretty sure they will. They'll probably go first pick this game.
Yeah.
I expect to see a Thanatos. Because like, if a Thanatos gets off to this early game, it's so hard to do. And like, Thanatos has a pretty good matchup into 4 as well. Not as good as it used to be, I guess, because like the spin is not as long anymore.
Sure.
But still, if Thanatos gets ahead in that matchup, like he is one-shots, you know?
Yeah, it's really tough in that matchup for sure. Maybe you look to take the Athena away from JeffHindla as well. That's a pick that Eonic's had a lot of success on in his career. Don't have to speculate for very long. Game 2 picks and bans getting underway pretty quickly. LG does take that first pick slot as expected right now. I do wonder, with SSG's weird play style, they picked Isis the other day, I believe, and it didn't do too well for them. Do you think they have a, like, Persephone, do they really have a Persephone player? Andy plays Assassins, BaRRa plays Hunters. I wonder if second pick against SSG and then just leaving everything, those things open, banning Thanatos, you know, the Jormungandr, those sorts of things, that might work.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's like a kind of a big risk though, because like you don't know, right?
Right.
And like,
especially in an elimination game.
Yeah, exactly. Like LG has to win this game, and they have to win next game. So something you could do, but like it requires some pretty big balls.
Thor banned away by LG right away, and clearly that's something that Lasbra does not want to go back to. SSG maybe kicking around the same idea, but I don't think that you can leave open Isis or Persephone against Luminosity. Snoopy, probably one of the better Isises in the entire game.
Yeah,
that's a long time pick for him. And then Persephone, he's shown to look pretty comfortable on as well. So LG seem to know what Space Station are going to ban from here on out.
Athena, good ban too, but like I'm pretty sure SSG is gonna look to pick this Thanatos up pretty early here, unless Lasbra decides to pick it early. But I think if Cyno plays Thanatos again, he looked really good on it yesterday as well. I think he will just run the game, and he looks like the way better jungler than Lasbra right now as well. And
100%.
if he can play such a strong early game jungler, I think he's just gonna put Lasbra in the ground.
Difficult start, I think, for LG, but an early Pele here for Space Station is interesting. That can be a flex pick. We saw Cyno play it yesterday. We saw Andy play the day before, but with the Thanatos, that looks like it's definitely going to be Pele ADC. Ama is the pick, though, for Xaliea that he's looked the most comfortable on.
Smart, though, by SSG. Pele, the only god that Lasbra won a game on yesterday in their set, was on Pele. Now they have the Pele, and they have the early pressure from Cyno's Thanatos again. I think that those are really smart. Like, if any other team picked this, I would be like, what the hell? But for SSG, it kind of makes sense now.
Serqet locked in. That's probably for Eonic, but Lasbra loves to play it as well. He tried it in game number 3 yesterday up against Simplicity. And Kukulkan, that's actually crazy that he has been picked so little so far this week. I feel like Kuku is really rising up the tier list pretty quickly, and this is a god that I imagine Snoopy is going to be pretty comfortable on.
Yeah, I think he is. He played an SPL one game, like, was it last week, and won with it, I think, so pretty good. But
he also played it for Armada in the ADC role at MSI.
Oh, really?
He was trolling a little bit then, but, you know, I mean, they did it.
Yeah, still, though, Kukulkan against Thanatos Pele, it's kind of...
spooky a little bit.
A little bit spooky, yeah.
But, I mean, if you pre-ult as they're about to dunk you, you one-shot them.
Sure.
So you've got potential, but I agree that it is a little bit spooky. The Kukulkan coming out here for LG in game number 2. A couple quick warrior bans up against Aqua, King Arthur, and Tyr taken away. Space Station split the difference between Xing Chen and the Chernobog, and Terra locked in pretty quickly for JeffHindla. When you're lacking in AoE, like a lot of these compositions seem to be, I think that the Soul Terra combo is enough that they might be able to carry you through these 5-on-5s.
Yeah, sure. Not sure about the Terra, though. I feel like it's a bit too early game for Jeff. I feel like the Kumba, I would have liked the Kumba better, I think, to like match the early game. He kept. I guess maybe they just rely on Cyno on this Thanatos to like run the early game, so you think, okay, I can just play a late game, because Cyno will run it early game anyway.
Plus, Kukulkan really struggles against things like Roots, Terra, Unestimable Root. You get to blow those beads pretty quickly. SSG locking the Achilles to round out the draft. How do you like this Medusa? Because Wowie was the last one we saw play it. He really struggled that game, even with Athena set up. Medusa, I don't think it's particularly safe. I just don't see what the benefit of Medusa is here against some other hunters.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of Medusa, in a long while at least. I just don't think she's as good as some of the other ADCs. As you said, she's not safe, her dash gets blocked.
Right.
She's not really a hyper carry either, like she can't do a lot of damage. Like she's more of a burst hunter than like a sustain. You very rarely see crit on her, so...
It is interesting to note, though, that she does have a bunch of anti-heal on Lacerate. In Pele, you can kind of all in her, maybe.
Sure.
And
even
shut
Thanatos.
Down that, yeah, and the Thanatos, and the Terra, and the Soul and the Achilles. A bunch of healing on the other side. Wouldn't mind to see Curse Ankh, certainly for Amaterasu here for Xaliea. I mean, LG's team fight looks really strong to me, but I just can't get it. I just can't get this feeling out of my head that Lasbra has got to step up.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be that. Like, if he doesn't step up, I think we're just going to see a repeat of first game where I think Cyno on this Thanatos is just going to run it, right? Probably going to do the same start again with full boots. Like, it's so hard to deal with. And like, Serqet is pretty good against Thanatos, to be fair.
Yeah, I mean, you've got great disruption and the ability to get away from a lot of what he wants to throw at you. The anti-heal, very good. And he usually has a low health pool in general, doesn't build a lot of HP, so that last breath gets even more mileage as that guaranteed damage. I mean, you've got good setup for Snoopy. I think he's got to have a big game on this Kukulkan. Are you looking at anyone on SSG besides Cyno, or is it really just dependent on him?
I mean, it's also always, I feel like whenever SSG plays, it's always a bit up to andinster too. Like, how is he going to do in his lane? You know, he always plays his assassins, which should have good matchups against his hunters. So, like, if he does well in the duo lane as well, we saw Aqua kind of manhandle the Xaliea last game as well, so if he wins that matchup, which I think Achilles should beat Amaterasu, then I think it's just going to be rough for LG.
You're a big fan of Soul, seeing that back in the meta. I mean, her itemization probably not as good as it used to be, but still a serviceable pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think it fits SSG well, right? Because, like, I think the main problem is now where do we get our mage damage from? Because like Anderson plays, last game they played Kuang, which is pretty smart, that's mage damage, but usually he's on the traditional assassin, so I like it.
Luminosity backs against the wall. Season 6 hanging in the balance. Spacestation might eliminate him. Let's get to game 2.
Tension is palpable for sure. Spacestation, kind of an easy run of it last time around. Should be more difficult for Spacestation if Luminosity do the job. Tom and Totally still here, but Pecky's going to be joining us for this one. How you doing there, Pecky's? Not good. Glad to see it.
Big play, Manta Ray, back at the controls. I love it. You love to see it. You love to see Joshy playing a Hunter, though, this time around, up against andinster's Pele. Another kind of assassin. Not going to be the set this time. Oh, sorry, the Kuang this time around. So still can see a lot of fireworks, though. Pele has a lot of all-in potential with the volcanic lightning. Medusa does have the dash to get away, so it's going to be hard to really lock her down in the 1v1. Expect to see more rotations from Cyno in this game.
JeffHindla getting poked out. We see a little bit of help on the left side as well. Eonic showing up in the dual lane early, so andinster will be chased back. Jeff by himself here. 3 members in Luminosity jerseys as Jeff tries his best to slam the speed buff, but the zigzag a little hard to outmaneuver.
Oh yeah, especially with Assassin's Blessing amplifying that damage.
Yeah.
So once that wall stun was committed, and you only have to worry about a Terra basic attack hitting for like 22 damage, yeah, that's guaranteed at the end of the day. So good patience from Lasbra, pulling the buff around, not taking too much unnecessary damage.
Eonic spotted by Andy as Cyno helps out with the purple buff. Eonic still willing to look for it.
It went the way of Spacestation Gaming there, confirming it. He was kind of keeping an eye on the health bar, was Eonic, trying to get that last hit with the javelin toss, but will be secured by andinster. He picks that one up still. Sitting at level 1, though, he has to tend to his wave, but it's not easy with Eonic still being in this lane, poking him out.
Yeah, it's a lot of action there for Eonic. Eonic is giving it a shot.
And because of this pressure, actually, I believe andinster anticipated it. Look at his consumables there. He has 3 multi-potions. He opted to go for the health chalice. Uncharacteristic to see this kind of a pickup in the long lane, but when you're going to be aggressive, you need Warrior's Blessing in general as a melee character, so that makes sense. But the other 2 consumables just goes to show andinster was one step ahead of LG's aggression.
Expecting the unexpected. andinster doing a decent job there. Cyno again finding himself on the short side of the map. Behind Xaliea. There's the dash and the silence is good. Basic attacks, cleaves, and the disc.
That's a bad Xaliea.
Yep. Cyno first blood there for Spacestation Gaming. Starting off nice and smooth. Eonic looking for the answer back alongside Joshy. They'll damage andinster, but they will not get the kill.
Yeah, Warrior's Blessing and 2 potions ticking at the same time. Really hard to lock down andinster, but I love the presence of mind from Cyno to continuously be aggressive in the early stages. Not in the long lane at first compared to game number 1, but in the short lane to start things off because of the timing of this gank. It happened around, what, the 2:10 mark? And normally, junglers are getting ready to go to their speed buff because it'll respawn around that 2:25 marker. So, not anticipating that was Xaliea. He used his dash aggressively. Nowhere for him to go at this point with the Divine Presence, not having too much movement speed at this stage of the game.
Oracles early here. Yeah, that's what I thought. Eonic gonna walk away from them. Not sure if he can solo those. Spoiler, he can't. Here comes help though for the dual lane. Eonic shows up. Dash forward from the Terra. And Andy going to be pinned in place. So a return to the duo for the moment as we have our supports here on the long side. Eonic and Joshy. Wow, that almost looks like a classic long one.
Yeah, almost, right? Like, if only it was Snoopy there instead, but instead he's playing the Cuckoo in the mid lane, shifting positions between game number 1 and game number 2. There needs to be a lot of setup to make this Cuckoo be a viable pick, and with Eonic playing the Erlang, Shen, that alone is good enough. And then you got a Serqet on top of it, dazzling offensive from the Xaliea in the late game. Not only helps out the Cuckoo ultimate, but also Joshy's Petrify.
That's going to be a part of what we're looking for, is Joshy making these large team fight ultimates. That's why he's picking up the Medusa. Snoopy's going to toss out the ults, but likely miss most of them. That's just the nature of the beast when it comes to Kukulkan. Joshy's got to be the one to confirm those on a consistent basis. The ultimate out of the Amaterasu, good, and Cyno just shows up and forces it just like that.
I like the idea there, because if you take too much damage before you use your ultimate, and now Cyno's going to chase you under the tower with the hovering death for the execute, and if he doesn't get it, he could still get the stun to do damage, and then Aqua is the secondary execute for that 1-2 punch.
Yeah, that follow-up from the Thanatos, very, very dirty. Interesting to see the Thanatos show up. The early game has been very important, and that's where he does his best work, so I guess that's why we're seeing him.
We saw him a little bit towards the end of Season 6, regular season, where Adapting played him a lot. They even did a strategy where they tried to get him 50 gold from clearing a Sentry Ward or regular Ward with, let's say, a Milsey Sentry Ward. So start off with Warrior Tabai as opposed to the Ninja Tabai. That was an interesting one. But even with Ninja Tabai alone and not doing that Ward strat, it has so much early pressure. The mobility is too high.
Right side, we're going to put that mobility to the test. Hovering Death.
Snoopy.
Lands on Snoopy, but Lasbra's there with a quick blink. The ultimate for the mid lane mage, not good enough, and Lasbra puts down Cyno. Nice job. Quick fingers coming out from the jungler on Luminosity. Xaliea finds the stun, and Xaliea finds the kill on top of JeffHindla as well. Lasbra, more of that. That's what we need. Lasbra was invisible yesterday. Didn't do a damn thing. Game number 1, Lasbra also had issues. In between games, player cam, Lasbra looked checked out. That's what needs to happen. That was a beautiful blink, taunt response. Lasbra's immediate reaction. Lasbra needs to wake up. Luminosity needs him to wake up. That's what we need to see.
This could be the start of something great for Lasbra, because even though he didn't force that engagement on his own terms, he reacted to it the way a jungler is required of him. A lot of responsibility and weight on the shoulders of most junglers, if not all of them, whether it's SPL, Minor League, the console world. So Lasbra making that play is the start of his confidence boosting, because he didn't look too clean in game number 1. He didn't look too clean against Simplicity yesterday either. So sitting at level 7 now, he knows who the target is. If Cyno ever lands from that hovering death, he's going to be susceptible towards Lasbra.
Cyno choosing the right target there. And that is a dead Snoopy every other time. If he doesn't get blinked on there and has help from the Serqet player, I mean, well done by Cyno, better done by Luminosity Gaming to save the life there and create a good team fight.
And Cyno is definitely feeling himself, to be fair, with how he played in the last game, with how he started off game number 2 with that first blood onto Xaliea.
He should be, yeah.
Because of that confidence and momentum, he wanted to get some sort of value from his hovering death and not let it go to waste.
Lasbra here getting landed on by Cyno. There's the taunt. Lasbra again wins this time the 1v1. Lasbra and Cyno. I don't know. I'm hearing it.
Well, to be fair, Snoopy was involved a little bit with that tornado blink play from Jeff, gets negated by the Petrify.
The ultimate not good enough from Joshy. Big damage across the way. Andy gets 1. Still Eonic alive for the moment. And Spacestation will back off. I thought they were going to go for 2. Lasbra, though, might pick up the daily double. No blink. And just gets 1.
He just gets the 1. He didn't have that window to get the other one, as andinster just narrowly backed in time. But that's a very valuable trade. Your support for that enemy hunter. Not that much farm now for Joshy. andinster walks away clean.
Again, I got really excited when I saw Lasbra get that first kill. I don't necessarily call Lasbra a momentum player. I think there are other players that probably fit that descriptor a little bit better. But when you're in a slump, everyone becomes a momentum player.
Sure.
Right? Lasbra has not had the postseason that I'm sure he wishes he has had. When we looked at the regular season, phase number 2 specifically, I'm not looking at Lasbra playing mid lane. I refuse to remember that exists.
I agree.
Lasbra in the jungle, though, it was working out. He was slowly lifting this team up. Lasbra, Snoopy were a real nice combo. Lasbra, Joshy, real nice combo. Very quiet here. But like I said, everybody becomes a momentum player when you're in the trenches, when you're in the rut. And there, that type of kill could put something behind him. 3-0-1 now for Lasbra, and you know,
it's not only Lasbra benefiting from his own performance, it's also the surrounding teammates. If they see him popping off, then all of a sudden they're getting hyped up. Their momentum, or rather their adrenaline, is being built up, and they're looking to follow up from Lasbra's aggression, because that last victory over Cyno was on LG's terms.
Yeah.
They took that fight towards Cyno on his back right camps. Just goes to show you give LG a little bit of a margin and they're going to stretch it.
There's Eonic taunting into the ultimate out of Snoopy. Beautiful combination. JeffHindla has the tornado ticking, and Lasbra finds the last hit just for confirmation. Spacestation Gaming meet the combo of taunt into terror. Snoopy with the big one.
You said Snoopy's not going to hit most of these ultimates, but I don't know about that one, F. He's looking very clean on the Cuckoo, like a veteran player.
I mean, that's the type of setup that I mean, you're a professional player. You hit that every time. It's just that when it comes down to Kukulkan, you normally don't have that type of setup.
Joshy botched his dash. He could be in a lot of trouble here, but he has members to make sure he escapes safely.
And the help is here. Not going to be strong, but Lasbra again out of nowhere. And andinster finds the beads and then looks for the aggressive play. Cyno on the backside, looking for the support. 1-2 combo is strong. Silence is good, but ultimately it's a retreat here from Luminosity.
Just too many different target selections there from SSG as everyone escapes from LG's side of things. I like the initial route from Jeff, but he should have anticipated the ambush. He should have been able to hold on to the stun after the fact to really catch Lasbra out, to allow andinster to clean up with this Pele. And Joshy took a different direction. He went towards the Gold Fury side. The other members went behind the Gold Fury side. I think if Spacestation stuck to one target, specifically Joshy, because his dash was down, that should have been a free kill.
It was tough. Luminosity came in spades and really protected the carry. I won't disagree. I think the kill was there, perhaps, but I think it might have been more difficult to obtain than at first glance.
And Snoopy, with his 3-level lead right now, is actually stretching it to the point that he's finished off the Polynomicon halfway towards finishing off all of his Book of Thoth stacks. So he's going to be bringing in this pain, not worried about getting his red buff invaded as well. Those ultimates are going to hurt.
So right now, 11 minutes in, Luminosity has dominated the team fights, but Spacestation Gaming moving down by about 2,500. SSG looking to make their move here against the Amaterasu player. And Xaliea will respond with an ultimate. And Snoopy, one more time, gets the taunt set up. And down goes JeffHindla.
Oh, here's Lasbra to clean up Cyno, or at least force out the ultimate. Not going to commit that last breath. Cyno still had the hovering death, and yet again, Snoopy with a fantastic play. He hits that Polynomicon onto BaRRaCCuDDa.
Now here comes Andy looking to punish the mid lane mage. Joshy's on the right, Snoopy's on the left, and Andy's on the ground. Beautiful collapse by Luminosity Gaming. They do not want to give this one up easily. Gold Fury is going to be the target. Meanwhile, Lasbra catches Cyno in the jungle by himself. You know, last time it was a little bit of help from Snoopy. That straight up and down solo kill.
Yeah, trading ultimate for ultimate. I'm assuming what happened was that the bleed was too much for the hovering death to handle to escape from that one. So yet again, Lasbra extending the lead. His teammates are following suit on the left side of the map. Good space control from Snoopy's tornadoes once he defended his own red buff invade.
You know, you were talking after I mentioned Lasbra getting out of this rut, right? The kill's very important for him, and you said, hey, you know, there's also his adrenaline will feed into the rest of the team. And then, of course, there's the much closer to the ground explanation of literal X of the nose. I mean, hey, man, when the jungle succeeds, when the jungle gets killed, you can open up the map, and, you know, there's no intangible. I can point to Lasbra getting the kill and then point to the Gold Fury going to LG uncontested.
6 kills that he's been a part of out of his team's 9. 66% so far as JeffHindla can't do anything about this right now. In this level 8, Terra is struggling thus far. Still in the same department in terms of Gauntlet of Thieves stack, so he's not terribly behind in that sense of the matter, but he still needs to look for some sort of setup here. But with BaRRaCCuDDa playing the Soul, he's not at the power spike yet.
Every time I see Eonic next to Snoopy, I start to feel... You feel the spirit
What about Lasbra flanking? You feel that?
Oh, that's also a taunt too.
I think Space Station's about to feel it if the LG commits here. And I think that they're aware of it, so they might even concede this tier 1 tower.
Wouldn't be a bad choice here. Luminosity, JeffHindla lined up. Snoopy holding the ultimate. There's a tornado. That's going to be good. That's a death.
He tried to dash through his monolith, but Snoopy killed it at the last possible moment before he reset his dash to get away. And Jeff, using that ultimate in his last dying breath, couldn't get any value from it.
Up in the air goes the Thanatos player. Lands on the right side. Joshy able to avoid the stun. Meanwhile, Andy zigzagged down Lasbra's 6th kill of the contest. BaRRaCCuDDa surrounded. Gets one. Eonic will put him down. Half of Luminosity's kills have Lasbra's name on it, and he's assisted in a couple additional ones. This is the game that Lasbra has needed to have. I can't stress it enough, Anatoly. LG without this player performing at this level is a different squad.
I agree.
And I mean, I'm saying that knowing that Snoopy and Joshy have done incredible things for this team, but you need that jungle facilitation. Lasbra put himself on the map last year. A lot of people were impressed with what he was able to do. And he got pulled up to the pro leagues in an off position. Phase 2 really proved himself and goes, I am that player that you thought I was last year.
And he's very animated right now if you look at his player cams. He is being very vocal, trying to dictate where the action is going to be, and it's going to be around him. And if you're an LG fan, you got to be feeling good with this game number 2. And Space Station Gaming, though, they have done some successful plays just now when they were able to take out Snoopy's life. But I think they could have did a little bit better here, FDOT, because when BaRRaCCuDDa all-in commit, realizing he was going to get chased down after the disapparate, Cyno was nowhere to be found. He disengaged a little bit too early from the engagement, and as an assassin, you kind of want to see how the fight is going to unravel before you fully commit to switching from your mindset of a PvP mindset back to the PvE, because Joshy dies to BaRRaCCuDDa's Stellar Burst.
Yep.
Eonic was literally 5% health. If one of those Silence Rapiers comes out, Eonic dies, and then maybe also BaRRaCCuDDa survives in the process.
A lot of ifs, ands, or buts. Space Station not as clean as game number 1, that's for sure. But again, Luminosity doing more of the step up. I think that this is, you look at 0-5-1, you go, man, JeffHindla has had a bad game. But prime example where I think JeffHindla could have had a better game, but Eonic and Snoopy have just repeatedly deleted him. Thanatos finds a silence, and, well, that is a dead carry. Josh, no chance to survive. Eonic coming through with a taunt. That means Snoopy's lurking in the shadows. Right side is andinster waiting, and now it's a big old fight. Ultimate does 800 to andinster. The tornadoes are good. Snoopy with the double un. JeffHindla on the run. He's gonna find the dash. That'll root things and keep it still for the moment. Lasbra jumps over. Zigzag not even needed. The last hit provided by Lasbra. 15 in total for Luminosity.
Yeah, Joshy might have went down, but at what cost? Using that hovering death to confirm the kill. Too ambitious, I think, for Cyno there. A free tier 2 tower for all of LG, and that Fury respawning as the tier 2 crumbles.
Wonderful timing here. The reason we saw the attempted gank from Space Station is because of the Fury timing. Luminosity are able to counterattack and take advantage of the Fury timing. Aquarius does pick up a tier 1 tower on the right side. Not all doom and gloom, just 95% perhaps, as it is a 9,000 gold deficit for Space Station Gaming. We've got to climb this mountain in front of them. Cyno on the Thanatos might have a hard time there.
I love this play from LG so far in game number 2. Their mindset after losing game number 1 almost feels like it hasn't even slowed down. It's different composition, different play style. They found a strategy that works for them. With Snoopy on the Cuckoo, his damage is going through the roof. He's been able to out-level BaRRaCCuDDa for a majority of this game, if not the entire game, honestly, as Lasbra has been on fire this game with 12 kills of his team's total 15.
Joshy showing up, 3 players surrounding Aquaman. The ultimate is good, but he'll be met by Lasbra on the back end. Knocked up, taunted, rooted, slowed, stunned, everything in between. Aquarius goes under 16 for LG. Tier 1 gone. Fire Giant available, but the Tier 2 will be the target for Space Station, for Luminosity. And an uncontested target at the bat. So what once was a 10,000 gold lead will continue to gain momentum, become 12,000, and without skipping a beat, Luminosity looking for the Fire Giant. Lasbra out here playing zone duty. BaRRaCCuDDa and Andy on the left, Cyno on the right. Luminosity have now leashed the fire and are looking for the team fight.
Oh, BaRRaCCuDDa no to separate. He's going to get chased down by Lasbra, but Cyno landing on top of Snoopy.
Not enough to find lethal though. Pops out the ultimate and it will whiff. BaRRaCCuDDa picks up one and Lasbra picks up the other. A 2-for-1 exchange as Space Station are 3 members strong. Make that 2 as BaRRaCCuDDa exits the corporeal form and enters the afterlife. 19 for Luminosity. I keep bringing up the kills because they keep coming. Fire Giants open, Toli, but I don't think Luminosity can grab this as easily as they could before.
Definitely not without Snoopy's confirmation on that Spirit of the 9 wins, but LG are just unrelenting pressure applied on top of Space Station Gaming, and this is the way you win games and sets against such experienced teams. You never let go of the gas pedal, but you definitely don't force the issue either. You bait out the Fire Giant. I like the attempt from Space Station to come in from 2 different angles, but they were fully aware at least of one of those angles, making it really hard for andinster or BaRRaCCuDDa to do anything. And Cyno, you recognize the weakened target, which was Snoopy, that was left unattended. LG got a little bit too frisky on the front line, leaving their back line a little bit exposed, but still coming out at the better end of it all.
The idea to isolate Snoopy, I think, is still the correct one. Snoopy's relics are going to save him, so that's a little bit rough there, but Cyno jumping on top of the Kukulkan, who has repeatedly just deleted the support player before the team fight starts off. Very, very big. The tornadoes are insane as well. Snoopy is doing a lot of work here. Only number 3 on the player damage chart.
Blink coming through here. The ultimate on top of Aqua, already less than 25% health.
Cyno's still in the air on the backside. Could land on Snoopy, but it's Lasbra that's making the first move. BaRRaCCuDDa running away. And Lasbra waiting. Perfectly timed. And Cuda go back to base. LG, 5 players strong. JeffHindla about to be worm food as well. Joshy with kill number 3 there. And Luminosity start the Fire Giant. Unlikely to be contested.
Yeah, Space Station Gaming, they have no business even contesting this objective any longer. Lasbra trying to reset this fight because he realizes andinster's around the corner, trying to do whatever he can with that volcanic lightning. It's not enough. It's going to be the Dia side at the end of the day, and LG have complete map control.
15,000 gold above the opposition, plus a Fire Giant buff. I mean, Luminosity here at this point, they have 4 times the amount of kills as Space Station Gaming. They're continuing to push forward. The right side Phoenix will be the target. I wouldn't be surprised if this game ended in the next 3 minutes.
I agree with you there. And this is the difference between Snoopy getting off the ultimate on his own terms or whether or not he was forced to use that ultimate defensively. Aqua fell very quickly as he was a little bit overstretched and isolated.
Bringing up that Kukulkan ultimate, I mean, this is the big change. Kukulkan has risen as one of the best mages around right now, in my opinion. Ton of damage because of the change, particularly to the tornado. But when you look at Spirit of the 9 wins, I mean, it's a ton of damage here. Sorry, Becky, I'm throwing you for a loop. It's a ton of damage here. 800 plus the scaling, of course, and you've already got a lot of poke damage on them. It can delete a strong carry because you have such an incredible amount of power, right? You look at 851 power. You're looking at 1,700 plus damage from one ability. Now, the problem is, it's hard to really target. It's this long windup, it's telegraphed to all hell, and a lot of times players will just walk out of it. Usually, you have a 40 to 60% chance to hit it. But when you have a classic taunt, a classic stun, a long-term CC to pair that up with, and it's guaranteed, it becomes a devastating tool. And when we look at Lasbra with the taunt or Eonic here with the 9 turns blessing, that's really what we're looking for. pin, knock up, taunt. All of this crowd control can set up what Snoopy wants to do and turns this from a, well, I'm going to be a space denier and my ultimate will cut off one of the exits to, okay, hit him in the face head on. That's a big difference.
And even with a shorter cooldown here, 70 seconds for Snoopy's ultimate base cooldown without calculating any sort of cooldown reduction, whether it's with Shusa Focus or the purple potion that he has around himself as well. So a lot of player damage coming through from Snoopy, benefiting from all that CC. Second of the game, uncharacteristic to see that at this early phase comparatively to a solo laner.
Left side, Phoenix to target. Already halfway dead. One split pushes, Lasbra in the middle lane doing what he can. JeffHindla and Andy blinking forward, and Snoopy's gonna miss. Now there's trouble, but Xaliea is able to put down the Thanatos player. Joshy wiggles out of JeffHindla's damage, and Xaliea has a double kill. Xaliea has a triple kill. Aquarius and BaRRaCCuDDa on the run. The carry on the left side gets taken away by Snoopy, and Xaliea leading the charge. Aquarius, the lone defender. Eonic will deal with him while the rest of the team walks past the Phoenix and walks towards the Titan. Tully, we're going to a game 3.
No time to waste with the left side Phoenix. The weakened respawning one on the right side leaves the Titan completely vulnerable. LG, a great start and an even better finish. I love the play from Lasbra setting up Snoopy.
Beautiful stuff there from Luminosity Gaming. Spacestation not as clean as game number 1. Xaliea getting up, yelling at Snoopy for stealing his quadrant. Maybe
no, I think he's just saying one more. He's just saying one more game. That's all they need to keep their hopes alive in the lower bracket. And honestly, I thought Spacestation Gaming had plot armor going into this set, being able to try to qualify towards High-Res Expo. Jeff and BaRRa made every single world. andinster only missed one of the worlds, and that was the time when he wasn't on Jeff or BaRRa's team back in Season 4.
I mean, Spacestation Gaming, I think, have really just already outstanded any sort of expectations. A lot of people, unfortunately, had this team going out in the early stages. Now, there's a lot of fans out there, and a lot of fans with some smiling faces. Whether you're LG or SSG, this is coming down to a game 3, and we'll be back with it after this.
Welcome back, SMITE fans. Hope you're ready for a little bit more action. Game 3 about to get underway. Aggro joined by Zeros here on the desk. I mean, Zeros, all of a sudden, what a weird coincidence here. Lasbra gets Serqet, his best god historically. He also played a Game 3 yesterday and wasn't very good. But all of a sudden, gets Serqet, pops off, and LG look unbeatable. I don't think it's a coincidence.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of LG's success is like, I mean, I think it's any team's success really. Your jungler has to be able to do work early game. And I mean, 12-0-13 on the Serqet. What a turnaround from the game earlier today and the set earlier yesterday.
Seriously insane that he's able to make such a vast difference. Also, Snoopy on the Kukulkan. His ultimates were great. His synergy with Eonic is exactly what you would expect for two dudes who have played together for so long. But especially that ultimate in the left lane where he knocks andinster back into the tornado. These two just had insane mechanical games. And that's exactly what LG needed. I think they needed to win like this as well, where it was dominant, where SSG had no hope. because I think, frankly, LG needed a pretty big confidence boost.
Yeah, I think for LG and Lasbra especially, this was super important because, like, he's been kind of roasted as well, right, with his performances. I mean, he kind of deserves it because he hasn't played well, but, like, he's really, like, he doesn't just play good this game. He kind of really pops off super hard, you know, so really important. Like, it's going to be interesting. I don't think he's going to get this Serqet again.
No, I don't think so either. I think that's going to be something that Spacestation looks to take away. I mean, Spacestation has to take first pick at this point, right? Yeah, Kukulkan pretty good, by the way, when you've got Erlang, Shen set up. If you're Spacestation, you have to take first pick in this spot. I feel like everyone is just taking first pick every single chance they get. I mean, this is going to be tougher, I think, for them to get exactly what they want.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they probably get rid of the Serqet and the Kukulkan, right? Like, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, first pick, you kind of get to take your pick of the things you want to take away. But I don't know. I think I'm looking to take away the Ama from Xaliea. He also had a very solid game on that selection, and clearly so much more comfortable on it than what else we've seen from him so far this year. I think it's pretty difficult. Okay, maybe he didn't mean to hit Andy there because Andy blinks in and gets blinked into it. That's a little bit unfortunate for andinster. You pour one out for the boy.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I feel like Xaliea and Lasbra both have had these really up and down sets where you don't really know exactly where they're going to end up. And when you get them on these two picks in particular, they look a lot more consistent.
Yeah, I don't think this pick for Xaliea is as important because you see him on the Achilles the game earlier. I think he loses that lane that hard because his blue buff got invaded so many times, right? He's laning against the King Arthur without a blue buff. The King Arthur is ahead because he gets the XP for both blue buffs, right?
Sure.
And then you have to lane against that. So I think the main thing is Lasbra needs a good early game, and like so he can convert that into a strong mid late game as well.
And that's something that has not been there consistently for LG, but certainly was there in game number 2. Smiles for JeffHindla and Spacestation going into game number 3. And I think that Spacestation has good reason to still feel confident and be in good spirits because this is a team that I don't think anyone had expectations for anymore. We had all kind of written them off. Yeah. No matter the outcome of this game, in my mind, Spacestation played better than I thought they would coming into this week.
Yeah, sure, but it's also against lesser opponents, right?
That's true.
Because we've seen them against all the top teams in SPL all year, and like they are better than the teams here, in my mind at least. So, but yeah, been performing all right, but like not super well as well. I honestly thought SSG would perform better than they have so far.
Well, they still got a chance to impress us as they continue to improve. And what do you know? Spacestation first ban Serqet as soon as they get into that first pick slot. LG, we talked about it going into game 2, might just leave open Isis Persephone. You don't know that Spacestation really plays those gods, but it seems like they might not be of that same mindset. They ban away the Isis. SSG feeling that Erlang Shen for Eonic was a key factor, and I do agree.
It was for sure, especially combined with Kukulkan. So maybe they decide to give the Kukulkan up here, but now this time he won't have the setup from the Erlang. But then again, they can kind of pick Athena and do the same thing, right? So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see a Kukulkan ban from SSG as well. Oh, it's not going to be.
Wow, Persephone banned by SSG themselves, understanding that LG may have called the bluff in that spot. So now LG have their choice. I think Thanatos is a pretty solid ban here if you're LG. I know you just beat it last game, but you won't have the Serqet to do the same thing this time.
Yeah, I suppose, yeah, I guess. I'm not really sure about the Thor. If I was LG, as you said, I'd be way more scared about the Thanatos than the Thor.
I agree. I mean, Andy's Thor has not impressed so far, and it's gone to Andy every single time. I think I might have left it open as SSG do the smart thing and take Amaterasu away right away. Now Luminosity, I think that Athena is a really good pick here because JeffHindla played it so well and it fits that same mold. I wouldn't even mind Athena Kukulkan right off the bat in this spot.
To victory!
The King Arthur makes very little sense to me, Zeros, because they don't... Spacestation's not going... JeffHindla's not going to play Ama, right? Yeah. We know that. This should be... You can hold on that King Arthur until third.
I mean, the only reason to pick King Arthur here is like you can hide the rest of your picks, but I don't think this is a time to hide the pick. They picked the Athena at least,
okay, that's
which
good.
is really good. But SSG, actually, I guess SSG, what are the chances of them picking Kukulkan when you think about it?
Very low.
Yeah.
I agree with that. It feels like a low percentage chance that they take it away, but you know they aren't taking King Arthur. I don't know. BaRRaCCuDDa, not the Thanatos, but even more shifted towards the early game. Both these teams have blown each other out games 1 and 2, and Cyno picking the blowout god. BaRRaCCuDDa is the we better be winning a lot by 20 minutes or else we're in trouble sort of pick.
like the Kumba pick from Jeff. I feel like that's been one of his stronger picks as of late. The Athena and the Kumba, definitely what Jeff prefers now, I think. But yeah, kind of interesting. This rat, I suppose that's for Cyno, right? Is that something that andinster can play, maybe?
Yeah, I mean, he was a jungler for a long time. You know, he had that in the repertoire then. I don't see why he wouldn't now. As what do you know? Kukulkan locked in. Snoopy, as it's called by the cool kids whenever Snoopy plays it, certainly was potent there in game number 2. But this is a little bit concerning that Lasbra's pick goes until the second ban phase. SSG almost certainly going to look to take away some of his comfort picks in this slot. I'd probably be looking for Pele, Susano as the 2 bans that Lasbra likes to play.
Yeah, I would assume so. That would make a lot of, yeah, almost definitely gonna be. I wonder what he goes to after that. Like, how deep is Lasbra's god pool? Because like we mainly see him on the Serqet, the Susano, the Pele, right?
Sure, could be. I'm thinking Ravin. I think that Ravin a pretty good pick against Ama. You really never get stunned by Dazzling Offensive. It's good against the Rat ult as well. You get 2 different forms of CC immunity to get you away. Spacestation decided to take away that Thanatos. Not as worried about the Pele potentially for LG. And I wouldn't even mind seeing LG pick it up here necessarily to make sure that it doesn't go in the hands of andinster.
That is true. Then again, Pele, I feel like Kumba has a kind of easy time peeling Pele off people, right?
Sure.
I guess she has CC immunity in her ult, but she used to use her ult to initiate, but it's going to be the butts.
This is a great beads burner composition.
Yeah.
I actually really like what LG's put together so far. I was going to say, though, SSG, I bet you they go Scylla. They want guaranteed CC immunity for andinster. They need magical damage so far with this composition, and they need late game. And he gets all 3 with the Scylla.
Yeah, also Kumba to set him up so like he can always secure his Ama monster. Like really good, but even with those picks, I think LG's drafts are really good here. Like the Athena, as you said, beats burning right on the butts. If you don't have butts up against Athena and Humbats, you're gonna be in a lot of trouble.
I think both teams came away with drafts they are pretty happy with. I'm not a big fan of the bans there by LG. I think that a Scylla ban would have been really good for them. I think they may have dropped the ball on that. But overall, I think that both teams pretty happy with what they've got as LG look to finish off their draft with something for Joshy. Will be the Morrigan. Jingwei was open, but they don't take the Jingwei. So going with the more aggressive option for him here. I mean, double Hunbat's ults, double Rat ults, Ama ult to get you if you really need a tanky target. The Morrigan's a good pick here.
Yeah, it is, but like who... Have we seen Joshy on Morrigan? Because it's like, that is a god that you have to be really good on to really make work, and your team has to be good with playing it as well. And I don't see LG as a Morrigan team. I don't understand why they didn't go for like just a traditional hunter here, because they already have everything they need in the comp, right?
Yeah, I agree. If they go Jingwei there, it's sick follow-up off of Athena taunt and Hunbat's ult. I mean, that knock-up and after the taunt, it kills you so often because you're pulled back towards the team and you get trampolined into their whole back line. I don't know. I feel like that would have been the better pick.
Imagine this though: Athena taunt, Morrigan transform into Kukulkan, and you have the double dragon coming down.
Who does that even? That kills like your future children. I mean, that's way overkill, man. It's not even necessary. One Kukulkan ult will get it done. I feel like both teams pretty happy. For me, it's how well can Joshy do on this Morrigan. In Spacestation, can Cyno get off to one of these blazing hot starts?
That's a big thing. Lasbra against Cyno in the early game. Who's gonna? If Cyno can control that again, I think SSG is up to a good start. Also, this Hachiman against Kukulkan. I think that should be a really good matchup for Kukulkan. Way better wave clear, right?
Yep.
The Hachiman mid, he has one ability to clear with, and after he used that, he can't really fight as well, right? Kukulkan drops a tornado, still has his ult and his one to fight after. So I really like this. I think I'd much rather prefer LG's draft here.
And a lot of Hachi's kill potential comes from slowing you off that mounted archery. Kukulkan's slow immune when he first hits Slither, so that's a pretty big deal. I agree with you. I feel like LG got almost exactly what they wanted to a team. Maybe not this King Arthur for Xaliea, and they'd rather have the Ama, but that's still not a huge drop-off in my mind. I think LG pretty happy, but as would be Spacestation. An SPL team going home. Here's Zeros. Who do you think it's going to be?
I think SSG.
SSG backs against the wall, as is Luminosity. Someone's going home and someone's advancing. Game 3 starting now.
Well, Zero says Space Station Gaming, Toli. And taking a look at their draft, it's a strong one. Andy on his Scylla. And that's a good one. Cyno back on the Ratatasker. We like that. Snoopy back on the Kukulkan. We like that. But most importantly, Doug, back on the camera. Welcome back, Doug. Love to see you. Very excited about that. What are you most excited for, Tully?
I mean, I think Ray did a good job last game. I'm not complaining about his performance. I'm really excited to see how Cyno utilizes this global pressure on the BaRRaCCuDDa, though, compared to the Thanatos. Because when Thanatos gets behind, it's hard to come back into it. BaRRaCCuDDa, a little bit easier, I think, to be able to get out of there with a dart dash after the fact. A lot more pressure early game once you do max out that acorn around that 1.5 minute mark or so.
Eonic here looking for Andy. I have loved andinster's God selection. He has just played what he needs to. And right now I've really taken to calling these positions carry 1, carry 2, long lane and mid lane.
Sure.
Right? Carry 1, just getting all the farms sitting there, and then carry 2, working out in the mid lane. You can kind of put whatever you want there. As we're pulling it away from Jeff.
Smart
The carry
play.
1 position for Andy has been whatever he wants to play, whatever works out. They want late game, he can do that. They want kind of earlier, he can pull out some of the other choices. But really, when Andy's comfortable, that's when Spacestation look their best. And Scylla was the first one when they started this strategy, switching Andy and BaRRaCCuDDa. It was the Scylla Hachiman combo that was the first time they were successful. And so I'm here for it. This is what you want to play on your elimination game.
I mean, that one pentacle that he had defending his Titan for a moment still ends up losing that game, unfortunately, but you could tell that he's really confident playing this God Jeff, though, trying to steal away these left side camps.
Snoopy going to go down here. Cyno Shore with the first blood for SSG.
That acorn. That's the reason right there. The power, the mobility that you get from it. Cyno at the right place, at the right time, at the 1.5 minute mark.
Man, totally. Can you buy me a lotto ticket tomorrow?
I'll think about it. See how I'm feeling when I wake up.
Jeez. Getting mocked from every angle.
It depends on what my astrology sign tells me to do.
Oh, is Mercury in Gatorade today?
What?
Luminosity had the Kukulkan on lockdown because of the taunts of the CC from the Erlang Shen. Now with the Athena, that's the classic taunt into the Kraken, right? Taunt into the Kukulkan. Snoopy and Eonic. You brought up the history of this team. Snoopy and Eonic have been doing this combo since Kukulkan was named Kuang. Okay,
Sure.
This is as tried and true as it comes, and I think that they are very excited to kind of figure this one out.
A lot of control here from Luminosity. It's not just Eonic setting up Snoopy, but Lasbra this time on the Hunt Bats. More AoE control compared to the Serqet with that Fear No Evil. Joshy can even transform into that as well. Good targets for Joshy's Morrigan. It's not just going to be the Hunt Bats. I also like the idea of Cyno's BaRRaCCuDDa.
Now to that, Zero's brought up something very important, and this is where we really get the gift of having kind of Zero's insight. Hold that thought for a moment. Cyno flirts with the red buff, waiting for his team. Kumba and Hachiman on the way. Lasbra will follow them as well. And honestly, the background from LG surprises me just a little bit. Invade goes to SSG. But Zero's, one of the perennial Morrigan players, is like, hey man, you gotta not just know how to play the Morrigan, you need to know how to play the gods in the game, and perhaps most importantly about his statements there was your team needs to play around the Morrigan well as well. So he had some cautious thoughts. He was a little trepidatious about this choice. How do you feel? Do you think the same thing?
I think they have enough protections and peels. There's going to be a lot of organized chaos that LG can apply. And they're going to use that ultimate to confirm the purple. Not a bad decision if you're not going to try to kill Joshy anyway. And yeah, when you have Athena, King Arthur, Hunt Bats, that's a lot of control, a lot of aggressiveness that Joshy should be safe at the end of the day. He could still stealth away. There shouldn't be too much pressure from Spacestation unless Cyno gets left unchecked through the Cosmo ultimate.
Ooh, Cyno right there.
Surprised that he doesn't just use his 2 there, trying to reveal the Morrigan. He goes for kind of a random stun.
I mean, it would have looked better on the highlight reel.
Oh, it definitely would have looked sick.
Not the kill, though. Space Station still just the 1 kill to their name. Tied up in the gold, though.
And that's something that I think Space Station Gaming have to think about in terms of how they can reveal this Morrigan once she does go stealth. Once you hear her just kind of walking around, or once you see the clone stand still. That's how you know she's kind of lurking on you.
Still a dash, caught up by Eonic dash, slowed down by the monkey jump, not a dash, but the fear no evil expended. Not even sure if it was necessary, but better safe than sorry in the early stages. And Luminosity are able to answer Space Station's 1 kill.
And I gotta look back at when andinster used his ultimate at the purple buff. Even though you might not be able to use that ultimate aggressively for the kills, it's a great tool to escape. You get CC immunity, you get 35% movement speed to get back to your tower safely.
Big ultimates coming out. Amaterasu will avoid some of the nonsense out of Lasbra here. Up and down. And Cyno knocks it up. Aquarius gets the kill.
Lasbra can't really make the impact with the damage. He can make the impact right now with the CC control, but both King Arthur and the Hunbats doesn't have the levels or the items that they need to make that 2v2 go into their favor. Aqua, playing this Amaterasu, has the passive to amplify Cyno's damage. He's been doing a lot so far with his fully upgraded Acorn, so an extra 10% from that passive goes a long way.
Well done there by Lasbra, making sure to rotate all throughout the map. Bound Gauntlet. That's
I think it's the Soul Eater.
Soul Eater.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
A little bit of
Interesting
lifesteal.
choice. Soul Eater, in Zeros' words, still slaps. Still does work.
It slaps, yeah. That's a banger, you can call it, for sure. And I think the idea behind it is when you're going to be diving in the backline, you're going to be receiving a lot of return damage. And you can definitely heal it up with your abilities. So it makes a little bit of sense. I want to see how it actually works out in the battlefield, though.
BaRRaCCuDDa here trying to maintain control. Very, very calm. Joshy, on the other hand, anything but. Joshy is really trying to fight this fight, playing the Morgan. He's just walking up to lane, but I'm looking at his camera, and he's looking all over. He's moving around. He's talking a lot. This LG team, I think, is feeling the heat, but in a good way. Like when you feel that good burn, you know, after a good workout. That's what I think they're feeling. They're under the needle. They're under duress. They are leaning on a player, Lasbra, who has been quiet all tournament. Finally, Lasbra stepping up. The rest of the team performing well. Snoopy and Eonic are looking like vintage versions of themselves. This is all systems go for LG.
And this was around the timing where Lasbra started to pop off, and that was because I think Spacestation Gaming got a little bit too ahead of themselves at first around LG's blue buff, and then that gave all the confidence to Lasbra to start bringing the fight towards Spacestation Gaming around the back camps out of Space Station, around the mid lane as well, trying to catch out BaRRaCCuDDa's soul, but this time BaRRaCCuDDa on the Hachiman is safer than the soul, so that mounted archery covers a lot of distance if he needs to disengage.
That's the idea. We see BaRRaCCuDDa bring out the Hachiman a lot, and I think it's largely to do with the defensive mindset. Of course, Hachi can dive the back line easily with the ultimate like we see Guan Yu do, but then you're usually up a creek without a paddle. So Barra usually leans on this choice. Just safe, sound, really no issues with it. Hachiman, I feel like, doesn't have the highest ceiling as some of the other characters, but really, Xing is safer than Hachi, and that's probably about it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Being able to get back to lane, never a bad thing if you're going to get poked out. And BaRRaCCuDDa, normally not picking up Transcendence. He likes to go for Devil Gloves and sustain.
Eonic and Lasbra are going to come in. Joshy's here, Snoopy's here as well. Andy slow on the uptake. So the ultimate won't work out there for the side lane mate.
He must have used it really early to utilize that movement speed to get in position, and I guess he thought Cyno was going to land right off the bat there, but a little bit of miscommunication between andinster and Cyno. A little bit of a missed opportunity, but at least they survive at the end of the day from the double blinks out of Lasbra and Eonic that didn't even invest to fear no evil.
Yeah, that looked like a dirty fight. That was going to go Luminosity's way up and down. Space Station narrowly escaped what was destined to be.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a fight into a goldfish. I saw it all before my eyes. But a little bit of a slip of the net there. And Luminosity come up empty-handed.
Yeah, the Blink taunts from Eonic is so powerful. He's been doing it since the God's inception and since Blink was introduced into Smite. So this is a very powerful tool when you have gods like Snoopy on the Cuckoo. Lasbra, even on the Hunbats, is getting to the point where his damage is going to matter. Maxing out the overhand smash, now level 9, with the Transcendence for a little bit of extra cooldown reduction. So we're going to start seeing his damage numbers start climbing.
10 minutes in, or just about. Tied up. 2-1 read the kills, but the gold and experience are what matters. A slight lead here for Space Station. While we usually look at the game, at least I do, in kind of these 10-minute chunks, this first one has gone pretty much both ways. Space Station has had their moments. Luminosity has had a moment or two. And that's all well and good. You're playing the Hunbats, you're playing the Ratatasker. Maybe if you're rooting for the Ratatasker team, you want to see a little bit more. But Space Station has not, it's not been a lack of trying. It's just that Luminosity has put up the wall a couple of times and stopped the onslaught. Whereas if you're rooting for the Hunbats team, this is about par for the course.
Ooh, LG looking for a play here because their Blink's just now coming off of cooldown, and because of the slowness of this game, it's because of the tension. You could just cut it with a butter knife at this point. The loser of this game goes home, and the winner just needs to win 2 more sets to qualify towards Hi-Res Expo. BaRRaCCuDDa could be the target.
Gonna dash away as Eonic and Lasbra show up. JeffHindla's here. Knocked it in and yawned on. Eonic not gonna be the target. Jeff was certainly thinking about it, but waved off by his teammates.
Yeah, not wanting to overstep any sort of boundaries there. The epic uppercut doesn't have too much follow-up for Space Station Gaming outside of andinster, but he's all the way in that long lane, so gonna wait for that ability to be used once the mid-game rolls around and those rotations become fruitful. Still working on a Doom Orb as andinster, and it's not gonna be the Devil Gloves for Bear. It is gonna be the Blood Forge instead.
It's a big item to purchase this early on.
It's a lot of power, and I like it because it allows his abilities to hit hard. And if he does get into a 1v1, if he wins it, he'll get that shield to just keep on going in the rest of the fights.
I mean, this is the idea. It's the same idea as Devo Gloves, except you don't have to stack it.
Yeah.
So it's similar to what we're seeing the mages do.
You know what it is? I think Bear's been playing too much Assault recently, so he's like, he forgot that Devil Gloves exists, so he just goes for the Blood Forge instead.
Well, I think it's similar to what we see the mages do, where you go into the Doom Orb, right? Because you don't have to waste the time stacking. Right now, you're probably already fighting. And so the Blood Forge, you don't have to spend your time stacking as if they were Devo Gloves.
That's true, but at the same time, I think the Book of Thoth is just a core item because of how much power it gives you. Whereas Devil Gloves versus Blood Forge, you're not really sacrificing too much power on one side or the other. It's normally a timing issue. A great escape there from Cyno on the Through the Cosmos, using that ultimate defensively. Something that he was hesitant to do in the last game on the Thanatos. He was heavily looking for the plays on that hovering death.
Yeah, often wanted to be the initiator there with the Thanatos. Certainly looking for a different style here on the Rat, able to get in and out. 1-0-1, 100% kill participation for him, and only him. Although that bar is low with only 2 kills.
I mean, you're not wrong. That is a stat you can say.
Thanks, Toby.
I got you. GR2 Tom coming at you.
Snoopy in a potential bind, but won't get flanked on just yet. The 3v3, the 2v3 will return to the middle lane. Cyno chases out his speed buff. Big difference in the timers there, and so that might lead to a storyline as far as our junglers are concerned, but a lull in the action here.
They're waiting for power spikes as Space Station Gaming. I think that LG are comfortable waiting for the late game, having Snoopy be so much damage on the Cuckoo. He's working on another book here. He's the one getting flanked, actually. His andinster is Joshy not going to pull the trigger on the stun, clearing out the wave. JeffHindla looking for a play, but he doesn't have the blink.
Eonic down to half, and that's it.
Ooh, good miss.
Jeff is going to grab one. Here's the follow-up from andinster. Immune, thanks to the Aegis. Now Andy's the one that has to pop the relics. Here comes Joshy. Fear no evil one more time, and the turnaround on to Space Station. Cyno comes from the sky and puts one down. Jeff caught the NATO. Will avoid the ultimate. So does Cyno. And BaRRaCCuDDa has shown up by himself. A lot of damage, a lot of violence, but again, just a 1-4-1. We go from 2-1 to 3-2.
Yeah, andinster was a little bit too overextended at that point. Doesn't have that much of escapability without the movement speed from the ultimate that was used offensively, baiting out that Aegis. Good defensive measure out of Joshy, being able to convert into the Hunbats as well. Gold Fury though, Snoopy, no ultimate, but no one from Space Station to contest at all.
Oof. 350 free. Luminosity Gaming going ahead and grabbing that one. Taking it. We see our first lead of the contest. 1,200 gold, wave to wave.
And honestly, the way andinster executed that was not at the elite level that we are expecting of such a veteran player. The window that the epic uppercut gives you, you should be able to hit the Amaterasu before landing and being able to hit the Aegis at the same time.
You know, it was last game that we saw the Thanatos, but this game we're really feeling the lack of execution.
A little bit here. It allowed LG to at least get back in response here. And looking for the plays was Joshy being able to go for the hunt bats. It's something that he's probably going to transform into more often because of the amount of crowd control that comes in with it.
Xaliea defending his tower versus Aquarius. And Lasbra going to be chased out as well. Cyno to the sky. Lasbra's the target. Knock him is good, but he was waiting for him. Fear No Evil turns around and has an Athena help from Eonic. So Lasbra lives to see another day. Still scoreless for him. The triple goose egg slash line.
It's so funny because that Soul Leader actually saves Cyno's life in that instance. That 15% ability lifesteal that you're able to secure for yourself once it is fully evolved there. And not only that, also the 20% damage mitigation from Eonic's Defender of Olympus keeps Lasbra alive a little bit longer.
So now Luminosity, still a slight lead, but one that Spacestation should basically ignore.
Good play from Eonic, blinking through the wall on the right side. Mid-camps forcing out BaRRa's Bees. There a bit of a cooldown there, 150 seconds for Luminosity to try to go for round number 2, especially without that mounted archery for about another 40 seconds. There could be some kill potential on BaRRa.
Love to see the attention to the smaller objectives as well. The Pyromancer goes down there, pretty much no problem. So Luminosity stretched from 1,000 to 2,000. And if you remember game number 1, that's exactly what Spacestation did. They went from 1,000 gold to 2,000 to 27 to 35 to 4 to 6 to 7, and this slow ramp up, you know, not a turn to Oko, but slowly but surely finding themselves in the lead. That's what Luminosity is trying to do here in this third game, and I like the idea. And there's going to be a hyper late game, right? So if you can kind of slowly claw your way up into this mid game, that's really what Luminosity are doing. And make perhaps the most important part, not to force anything. Poor discipline will be the downfall to both of these teams, I think.
And LG have been controlling the objectives. Spacestation get poked out. They have to concede positioning. Gold Fury goes the way of LG. Pyromancer going the way of LG. Even though they don't have the kill lead, it's more important to find those windows of opportunity whenever they are presented to you. Or whenever you have a Cuckoo, it's hard to even contest that if you don't have andinster available within vicinity of the Amaterasu. So LG are still not deterred from making the plays. Because so far, we were talking about Lasbra in game number 2 of how dominant he was on the Serqet. Game number 3, he's not dominating right now. He's quietly meditating off in the mountains until it's time for him to shine.
Well, you want to know what? It's actually funny. He has enabled his team because both kills for LG have come by way of a Fear No Evil.
True.
Been a Morgan Fear No Evil, but a Fear No Evil nonetheless. Lasbra caught in some trouble, will jump away. Mid lane tower could and will be the target. BaRRaCCuDDa taunted. Snoopy hold the trigger just yet. Gets jumped on and fires away. There's a Fear No Evil, the real one that time from Lasbra, as Xaliea zones Aquarius out of the team fight to the right-hand side.
Spacestation shouldn't be too worried about this one, though. Their tier 1 middle tower stands strong a little bit, but andinster needs to be in position to defend this one. He got spotted out by Eonic. He's forced to go around the long way, and this could allow LG a free 500 gold.
Yeah, easy. Easy tower. Easy tower.
I don't like this so far. Spacestation Gaming just don't seem to be grouped up when it matters the most. They gave up the Gold Fury, the Pyromancer, and now this tier 1 mid tower for free.
1,000, 1,500 to 2,000. You seeing what I'm saying?
But credit to LG, though, because of their ward vision control. Look at that huge line of wards dissecting right on the bottom side of the mid camps.
Love it.
All the way across the map, from the left all the way to the soul lane.
Literally creating a 50-yard line. You know, it's just splitting the entire map. So if anybody walks across the line of scrimmage, or if you will,
it's almost at the 40-yard line or the 45, right? Because it's like a little bit closer towards Space Station side of the map, but not by much.
Well, what I like is right in the middle, you've got your wards right dead set in the middle, but then as you get towards the other side, it kind of filters out towards the ends, which allows you to have the more valuable vision. Spacestation will grab a 500 gold from a tier 1 tower in the mid lane.
Good plays. They needed that. They needed the map control as well, because if they're going to be aggressive, they need to remove some shelter available for LG to fall back onto, and some of the late game potential from Spacestation is going to start to shine now with Aqua having his Divine Presence maxed out, 25% movement speed available for his teammates. You can't count out BaRRaCCuDDa with a heavily banner amplifying his own attack speed by 30% and his teammates by 15%. And in conjunction, those two abilities, or movement speed, attack speed, helps clear some of these objectives faster.
Luminosity going to be looking for the Oni Fury. JeffHindla trying his best to stop that. Oh, the epic uppercut will be epically sidestepped. Trouble. And Eonic finds Snoopy with the ultimate to get out of jail. Andinster wiggles away from the ultimate out of Snoopy, but big damage coming from BaRRaCCuDDa on the back end. Eonic eats it. And JeffHindla on the run. Xaliea, tanky, unable to be taken down just yet. Ultimately, it will be a 1 for none. Spacestation don't necessarily look good in that team fight. JeffHindla really drops the ball, but now they're trying to force it even more so.
Because of the Divine Presence and Frostbound Hammer combination. If Aqua hits literally anybody that's not slow immune, because Snoopy used this too, they're dead to rights. They're not getting away from Aqua at the end of the day. And I like the fact that andinster doesn't use his ultimate, because if he stutter steps by using that ultimate from Snoopy was going to land for sure.
Oni Fury's taken away by Luminosity.
Unacceptable. Completely unacceptable.
Cyno tried. I think the attempt was there. I think it's unacceptable if Spacestation walk away with their hands in their pockets.
Yeah.
There was an attempt, and I can't fault him for that, really.
andinster has the crush available. Even without I'm a Monster, like Snoopy wasn't there to use his ultimate, so I'm like, okay, well, you should be able to at least try to steal it with your crush, but andinster was not in position. Spacestation Gaming yet again give away another objective, and it's not a game-ending play, but it's something that needs to be cleaned up before LG run away with this one.
You know, I think you're right, Anatoly. I think Andy probably should have been a little bit more meticulous with that. Definitely could have been a Spacestation Oni. Instead, now Luminosity have it, and fighting around this Fire Giant pit is advantageous to them because they know these waves coming out of the base right now are your Oni waves. Hitting the tier 1 tower, Spacestation have to go defend it. And LG, if they fight fire right now, Spacestation can defend. But if they wait any amount of time, like they're doing here, going for the tower, Spacestation have to go defend the waves.
Cyno not available now. He's split pushing in the mid lane, taking care of one wave. So the rest of his teammates conceding this tier 1 tower. LG, though, going to continue this pressure. But keep in mind, Cyno, when he used his ultimate earlier, he actually baited out the Aegis out of Joshy. That could be the one target Spacestation lean on in this next scuffle.
Tier 1 tower on the left-hand side likely to fall. Tier 2 tower being defended here by LG. Or excuse me, by Spacestation. LG the aggressors. Tier 1 tower goes down. Shouts to the Oni wave. And, oh, Fury coming in clutch. That ultimate coming in clutch. Snoopy right down the middle. Takes care of andinster. Freewheeling it.
Aqua in a lot of trouble as well. Xaliea and Lasbra right on top of this Amaterasu. He's going to go down. Cyno can't find the targets landing from through the cosmos. And this is a power play for LG now in a 5-on-3.
What a play by Lasbra as well. He gets the kill while he's dealing the damage, sees Cyno in the sky, jumps away as soon as Cyno lands on the back line. 9 out of 10 junglers die there.
I'm surprised andinster didn't use speeds after he used that I'm a Monster during the Fear No Evil. I'm not sure if it was up or not, but he was basically CC'd under the wall for a long period of time.
I don't think he expected, and that's a dumb answer, totally. I'm sorry, but I don't think he thought Snoopy was going to just throw it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he was behind a wall, but again, the vision. Look at where the back camp is on the right side of the minimap, and you see a Luminosity Gaming ward. That is why andinster dies. That's why Andy dies.
Very impressive vision control from LG in this game. Can we look at wards placed? I'm actually curious here. 18 out of Eonic so far, leading the charge there. And I'm seeing 4 of the top 6 players in the game are all in the red.
Yep. And you look at andinster's, and not to discount his contribution, but a lot of those are going to be laning phase wards on his side of the map, right?
Sure.
Now that it's team fight time, those are not really coming into play. The ward vision has been game-changing here for Luminosity.
And this is without like Chalice of the Oracles as well. This is straight up spending your gold that you got from the objectives that you got for free, basically, to build up off of your lead a little bit. Because wards win games.
A lot of times, you know, I'll say, well, 1,000 gold, not a lot to hang your hat on. That's the ward difference.
Oh, yeah.
That's where you find the 1,500 gold lead, the 900 gold leads. It's the ward vision that really, ooh, look at that.
Yeah, and when you
look at Jeff's ward is
just outside of
unintentionally.
vision.
Look how close.
It's so
these,
close.
Oh man!
And that actually was nerfed a long time ago. The Sentry vision control compared to the regular ward vision. So not going to be able to spot each other like two ships passing by each other in the night. But the way LG have adapted their ward vision, once they decide like, all right, we're going to go conquer this plot of land, they stick their flag into the ground, being the wards, before they go and actually finish off conquering the rest of it.
Low kill count game, just 8 in total. Luminosity looking to turn that up in the 25th minute. Snoopy lets it fly. Won't find a human target. Here comes Cyno on the back line. Andy's ready to respond. Immunes the Lasbra ultimate, but can't immune the damage. Lasbra combines with Eonic to put down andinster. Aquarius dashes away, and JeffHindla doing the same. Luminosity gaming like a bat out of hell, running down the mid lane. Tier 2 tower, barely the focus. And Eonic calls him back. Says, take care of business first. Now, look at the Phoenix.
What a smart play there. Focusing out Andy during the Ama Monster. Blink out of Lasbra. Defender of Olympus making sure he would be safe with that damage mitigation. Andinster had to cancel that ultimate early just to use his Aegis to survive a little bit longer. And even that wasn't enough. His teammate just too far behind. And the positioning from Andinster, very awkward there, coming between or right outside the tier 2 tower where he had no teammates beside him.
A lot of my issues, a lot of my criticisms for Spacestation Gaming before they found their identity and made this lane swap with BaRRaCCuDDa and Andy was Andy's positioning. He really wasn't positioning well as a mid laner, had a lot of issues there. And then once we saw the lane swap, what was very positive in my mind was how Andy was able to play these jungle-esque selections and his positioning could be more aggressive. And Luminosity right there, this is a team that took their notes and is taking advantage of Andy's adaptation.
Now, to be fair to Andinster, he was following up from Cyno's ultimate to try to get in position to use that ability, but LG baited SSG outside of their tier 2 tower well enough to re-engage after the fact. Lasbra so patient about being the last wave with that ultimate.
Discipline is the game changer here. Snoopy caught in the middle of nowhere, and he goes down very quickly. Spacestation Gaming could be looking for a game-changing moment here. As Lasbra's knocked to the sky, Aquarius is here, but Xaliea cuts him off. Oh, man.
Should be fine at the end of this
That's the end of the bleeding. Luminosity did a great job there.
And Andinster barely gets away from Xaliea there. As level 20, when you max out the Ama Monster, you do get 70% movement speed instead of the 35, so utilizing that to its full force.
Going back to what we were talking about that last team fight in front of the Phoenix, I think when we're watching this one, it's important to realize in these later stages of the postseason, it's not zero-sum. You know, Andy, poor positioning in a response to the right play and the better play taking advantage of it. You know, it is so, these players are so close right now to each other. I mean, 5-5, there is a large gold lead here, 12,000, but it's the kill count that's illustrative here. Because I think, as I said, the discipline is of the utmost importance. You can't overstay your welcome. You can't go too deep. Otherwise, that'll lose the game. And we're seeing these teams are riding the brake, not the gas pedal. They are more eager to pull it back, and I think that's been advantageous to both units.
I mean, at this point, you make one mistake, there goes your chances at Hi-Res Expo for Season 6. Everything you've done in Phase number 1 and Phase number 2 goes down the drain here. JeffHindla, though, not hesitant to pull the trigger. Snoopy, no relics.
There's Snoopy's response, and Cyno lands on top. Snoopy's the target, and Andinster will be the bullet. Down goes Kukulkan. Big damage coming out from the Scylla now. Crushed, baby, as Cyno finds it. Eonic goes down. JeffHindla has the passive. Can his team protect him? Fear no evil on the other side. And it's Lasbra with 1. It's Lasbra with 2. It's Lasbra waiting out the Aegis. And Xaliea with the 3rd. Joshy picks up Aquaman up top. And JeffHindla, the lone astronaut remaining. He'll waddle around. But Luminosity moving up the mid lane. They've got the Morgan. They've got a Monkey. Is it enough?
That is enough. It's only 35 seconds for Cyno to come back up. There's plenty of damage. Lasbra was quiet for a majority of this placements, but he stepped it up when it mattered the most in this game. The control from the Fear No Evil won them that fight because Spacestation started it off hot.
The Titan will go down. Spacestation will go down, and rising above, Lasbra, Xaliea, Snoopy, Eonic, and Joshy, they continue on in the tournament.
A very disappointing end of the season for Spacestation Gaming and their fans off of this one. Very anticlimactic ending for them, as they're gonna have to just go on home here. No plot armor can save them from this egregious performance in all of Season 6. Not a single victory in phase number 2, only 2 set wins in phase number 1. Not what you expect from people like BaRRaCCuDDa and Jeff that made every single Worlds, and andinster only missing out on 1 Worlds as well.
You know, it's interesting. I'm not usually the glass half full type of guy, but you're shining a very dismal light here. For me, this was all bright side of LG. I think Spacestation Gaming obviously could have had some better moments, but LG made everything click. Lasbra, who, like you said, quiet, steps up today when it matters most. The rest of the team's able to do it. Snoopy and Eonic playing, like I said, like they're wearing COG jerseys, man. This Luminosity team, they started stepping up towards the end of the regular season, and they've continued to step up here, even in the placement stages, meeting some bumps along the way. But these are the moments you're looking for if you're an LG fan.
Yeah, don't get me wrong, a lot of credit to where credit is due. LG performed lights out when it matters the most. They were so patient with Lasbra and his Hun Bats. The Serqet, the Hun Bats, worked out for him in this set against Spacestation.
Luminosity take the set and move on. We've got more SMITE after this.
Plot armor turns out to not be strong enough. For the first time in SMITE's history, neither BaRRaCCuDDa nor JeffHindla will be making it to the SMITE World Championships. Luminosity win game number 3. Aggro joined by Zeros here on the desk. Zeros, that game was Luminosity's to win. They were playing it very well. And then that last team fight, it looked like Spacestation was starting to get control until Lasbra and Joshy, the 2 players that we had been pretty critical about, had to step up, and they did in the final team fight.
Yeah, I thought like the first Morgan transformation into Butts, I thought like, oh, why is he not turning into Amaterasu or something instead? But then Lasbra comes in with the second Butts out, and they just win the game from that. So like, just a really good play, and what a way to stay in the tournament.
Crazy game from Luminosity, and crazy set from SSG. I mean, the Scylla pick for andinster looked like it was going to be really solid on paper with all this setup, but the dive that Luminosity had made it so that he could never use that ultimate aggressively.
Yeah, for sure. Also, you mentioned earlier, first time we don't see BaRRa and Jeff at World Championship, but how about the last year's World's MVP? Doesn't make it either. Like, what a crazy... I mean, I guess you couldn't call this an upset from how this season has gone, but still, just crazy to think about.
an insane game from Snoopy and Eonic once again. These two, their synergy continues to impress. Xaliea, I think, had a very solid game on the King Arthur this time around. This fight in particular, where he takes himself out and lets Snoopy insta-kill andinster with help from Lasbra. As someone who was very critical of Lasbra yesterday and earlier on today, I think we've got to give him just as much praise. These last 2 games, he made incredible plays.
Yeah, like this Butts and even the Serqet from last game is so good, doing so much work in this game, from being pretty much invisible in previous games to like having this much impact. Like super impressive from Lasbra.
That play in particular stands out to me as one that it's just, you can tell that he's locked in. That's an understanding of how the game is going to be played from that position. This is that last team fight. andinster gets that reset on Snoopy. You're feeling pretty good. Snoopy didn't land the ultimate, but Lasbra comes in so late to this engagement, and this might be one of the biggest fear no evils you'll see in competitive Smite, man. All 5 members get caught up in it. The Sacred Monkey Toss takes care of 2 by himself. I mean, that was pentakill territory for Lasbra.
Yeah, what a play, and like as I said earlier, what a way to push it and ticket to the next round in this. They haven't made it yet, though. Have to keep that in consideration. It kind of felt that way with like so much on the line on this set, but still has to win another game.
That's right. They actually have to play Sanguine later on today. They get this next set off as we will watch one team qualify to the Smite World Championships, either SK or Simplicity, and then we see Sanguine up against Luminosity to determine who plays the loser of that next set in order to get towards that Smite World Championship. So LG certainly not done yet, but a big bounce-back win after a really tough day yesterday and their loss there. We've got a couple members of LG standing by to see how they're feeling after their win.
Thank you again, Aggro on the desk. I'm here joined by Eonic and Lasbra. First off, congratulations over your set victory up against Spacestation Gaming. It was a fun set to watch, a fun set to cast. Was it a fun set to play?
Yeah, I mean, it was fun. It was also really stressful. Like, elimination games are definitely very stressful. I think game 1, like, we just had to find our feet. And then when it came to game 2 and 3, like, we were definitely more comfortable. And, like, we're just learning and improving as the tournament goes on, right? Which every team does. It's just a matter of which team can adapt and, like, find the best picks for them and against the other team.
Lasbra, you were very quiet in yesterday's games. Unfortunately, we did not see the performance that we've come to know and expect from you. Today, a little bit different. Yeah. What happened? You eat your Wheaties?
I don't even know what, like, I think we figured out a bit what we should do today. Yesterday didn't really go that way. I didn't really do anything, really. I don't know what, I was just mentally out, I think. I don't know what to say, like.
So now you guys are going to face off against Sanguine after this next set. Would you guys be more comfortable waiting a day or playing right off of the back of this hot victory? And what also, second part question, what have you seen from Sanguine that you need to be prepared for?
I would say Sanguine has overall very strong players, but I would say their star player is Shinto, as well as, yeah, I mean, Shinto and Netreward, both like really good players that we have to pay attention to. And I would rather play today. I mean, if I could, I'd play the whole tournament in one day.
I just want to play today as well.
Well, you guys certainly are feeling it. Going back to yesterday, Eonic, after your guys' win, you still seemed very adamant. There was a lot of energy going on, and like I said, not just Lasbra, but the whole team seems to be on a different, better page today. I guess what I'm getting at, are you the catalyst for this team, Eonic? Are you somebody that can kind of make it work?
I think for almost every team, the support is one of the most vocal people. It's kind of your job to be a catalyst and make sure everybody's doing everything. I mean, as a support, you know, don't have to focus on hitting the skill shots, so maybe you focus a little bit more on getting your team hyped up and stuff like that, you know?
Well, it certainly worked out so far. You guys, congratulations on the victory. We'll see you later on in the tournament, and we'll see you guys after the break.
All right, thank you.